Will it cook the Gophers?
Adam Curry, John C. Dvorak.
It's Thursday, December 26, 2019. This is your award-winning Gitmo Nation Media Assassination episode 1202.
This is No Agenda.
Celebrating Boxing Day and broadcasting live from Opportunity Zone 33 here in the frontier of Austin, Texas, capital of the drone star state. In the morning, everybody. I'm Adam Curry.
And from northern Silicon Valley, where we're expecting a big match on today's Boxing Day. Who's fighting anyway? I'm John C. Dvorak.
It's Crackpot and Buzzkill in the morning.
What match? Oh, I get it. Boxing Day. Okay. Duh. Took me a second.
Did you realize that until just about 5 or 6 years ago, that's what I thought it was about? I never got it.
That's not true, because we've been doing the show since I lived in the UK, and you knew exactly what Boxing Day was.
I don't. Well, then it was just before then.
Okay. Well, I'm glad you're up to speed on that. Yes, it's Boxing Day.
Why is it called Boxing Day? Because they put stuff in boxes.
Yeah, you give each other
That's
boxes. Oh, why go and alienate our UK producers?
Well, they've picked up on Boxing Day in Canada. They have Boxing Day up there, and now we're thinking about it. People talk about it.
I bet you it's going to be a millennial thing. Boxing Day. You watch. You can just put money on it.
I always thought, when I think originally I thought it was some Australian thing, because that's what was in the UK, and it had to do with kangaroos.
Mm-hmm.
Boxing.
No.
I always visualized a couple of kangaroos with boxing gloves on.
Okay.
On Boxing Day.
Well, I'm glad that you've been put straight. But again, I think it's a fine millennial trait. That's how it'll be brought in. Boxing Day. Oh, yes. We have Friendsgiving and Boxing Day. We don't celebrate Christmas. We celebrate Boxing Day. Don't you see? It's headed that way.
Celebrate Boxing Day.
We celebrate Boxing Day.
Christmas is pre-Boxing Day.
I wrote down a couple of millennial things for you while I was traveling. Just two. Well, two important ones.
Get the book out.
Yeah. Now, is this going to be a published list, or what is it going to be?
Yeah, published on Twitter.
Wow. That guarantees no one will read it. Okay. So
maybe I'll put a web page up.
Oh, okay.
I'll put up a WordPress page.
So I just have two, but I think they're important.
By the way, we're getting a lot of these, and a lot of people. Most of the ones which is kind of along your lines of thinking, most of the ones I've been getting are, what do you call it? It's the way people act. It's as opposed to like things. Like mine is like things.
Okay.
Like craft beer and Dr. Bronner.
Okay.
Those are things.
Well,
but
so
most people are mostly about how people act.
Okay. So gender reveal parties is a thing. It's not. It's an act and it's a thing.
Yeah.
So I think you should put that on. But I have one that I've been noticing more often. And it is an act, but it's a thing.
By the way,
yes.
I think the gender reveal party where the woman pooped out or farted out a big blue cloud, I think that should have killed it.
Gee, I must have missed that viral video. Make sure you tag me in it next time it comes around. I have not seen that one.
Oh, it's gross.
Here's something that I'm seeing very frequently. And it's just wrong, and I'm not sure why it's happening. Well, or it must be a lack of education. You see this in emails, you see it in tweets, you see it in text messages. Putting the $ after the amount instead of in front of the amount. Hello?
Yeah, I'm writing it down. Sorry.
You never know. You might have fallen over backwards from this revelation. So
I've never seen this.
So instead of $ like 50 for $50, it'll be 50 and then $. And
that's because it makes more sense. You think about it, you say $50, so you'd be $50, as opposed to in the old way, which is putting a $ and then 50. You say $50, but it's out of order.
Yeah,
if you think about it.
Yes, no, I understand, but it's not common, and
that's stupid.
I've seen this a lot. Another thing I see a lot.
Otherwise, it says like I'm reading. It says $50.
Another thing is, did we talk about this? People driving without their headlights. This is happening with increasing frequency.
That's smart.
No, it's because they don't know. I think because everyone's used to automatic headlights that are just on. Then I've been driving a lot at dusk for some reason, or maybe it's just getting darker earlier here in Austin. And there must be, every time I go, 3-4 cars driving with no lights on. And they don't even know it.
Well,
obviously.
Well, I don't know if you, well, that's not.
It's an automation thing.
Most millennial things on this list should be overt, not just dumb shit these guys fell into.
Well, anyway.
You know, a lot of millennials have fallen into holes.
Listen, I feel the plight of the millennials. They've been slackified. There's a lot going on in their lives. And so we're just making light of a few things. We have nothing against millennials, obviously.
Well, I get the list long enough, I'll be able to, when I bring it up at the dinner table, they'll be able to add a few extra items.
All right. Now, before we do anything else, I feel a rain stick is in order for Australia. Sir Chris Wilson's down there. He actually requested it. They're burning up, so they need some rain stick action. We haven't done it in quite a while.
All right.
I think this is for New South Wales.
Everybody other than Australia, especially back east, should turn off their speakers for the next 20 seconds.
Yes, because it's going to hurt you real bad, and we know that it'll in about 3 or 4 days, it'll be raining cats and dogs in Austin, but that is the plight of the rain stick. So we give 2 full shakes for New South Wales?
Yeah.
Okay, here we go. New South Wales. Excellent. All right, hope it gets better there. So I do have some tales of travel since the Keeper and I went to...
Yes, tales of travel, one of the highlights of the No Agenda show.
Oh, sure. Since we went to New York Friday, we left... so we had Thursday, had the show, then Friday. What a dream to travel without the studio for once. Thank you, everybody, for allowing us to run a special John Story Time on Sunday. So... we did not produce something live on the day itself. And thank you, David Orcutt, of course, for producing that, our executive producer for the show, which also puts me a bit out of rhythm. I don't know if you noticed that this morning, but, not doing that Sunday show, I was a little off. I don't know.
Not me. I was happy.
you're like happy. Hey, it's all great.
Mainly because I didn't have to do Tuesday's Horowitz either. He's on sabbatical for the next 2 shows.
Okay.
So I was just free to lounge around.
All right. So we had 2 TSA experiences, and I noticed something right off the bat as we departed from Austin. Now, we had pre-check. I have no reason to have pre-check. I no longer qualify. Whenever I travel with the Keeper, who also has no pre-check privileges, we always get pre-check. So that was a breeze. We flew right through, not a problem. And if you go through the pre-check line, it's always noticeable that you can keep your shoes on. You don't have to take your laptop out of your bag. And my boots, whenever I go through a non-pre-check magnetometer, that's the metal detector, they go off. I mean, there's always something in the boots that will go off, and they did not go off. So I presume that they've detuned the pre-check magnetometer just so that it doesn't respond to, for instance, stuff in boots, or maybe a bracelet that you may still have on, or even a belt. And this was accentuated on the way back, which was a very interesting trip. We flew back on the 24th, so the Christmas Eve, JetBlue from JFK. There was a line. There must have been 500 people in the line, but it was moving. And what we did is we went through that damn dog thing again, which I identified on the trip before last when I came back from Europe, where they send you through the gerbil lines, and all of a sudden you come to a little open square space, and then you line up two people at a time. May not be the person you're traveling with. You shut up, slave. You sit next to him, okay, and walk when we tell you. And then you're supposed to walk slowly across this open square, and then they walk the dog around you. So they're doing this dog thing again.
I have never seen this ever.
Second time for me. Second time. Now, of course, the dog never looks at me. I don't know what he's looking for. And then we got to the security lines, and they had a lot of them open. Must have been 8 or 9 of them, and every single one of them, you could keep your shoes on. Your laptop could stay in your bag. They had detuned all of them. Nothing went off.
Oh, they want to move it.
Well, I got a report this morning from a whistleblower at the TSA.
More than 40 million U.S. airline passengers are expected to go through airport security checkpoints this holiday. But this TSA security director says you may not be as safe as you think.
What they're doing is injecting danger into the system.
Jay Brainerd is the top TSA official in his state and has been with the agency for 17 years.
All right.
He says TSA is cutting corners on the screening process to shorten wait times. One example, TSA reduced the sensitivity on all walk-through metal detectors at airports across America.
They are reducing the concentration of metal that it would take to set off that alarm so that you can speed up lines and have fewer pat-downs.
How do you know that's why they did it?
Because there's a memo out that supports it.
This TSA memo shows the order came in 2013, quote, changing all walk-through metal detector settings in all lanes to the TSA pre-check setting to normalize the passenger experience. Brainerd says the practice continues today, and he worries bomb-making components could go undetected.
You could have a 30-minute wait time, and they treat it like it's a national emergency. It is such an unhealthy obsession of placing speed over security.
Brainerd says that obsession also led the TSA to disable technology on X-ray machines that screen carry-on bags in pre-check lanes. This internal memo states as of last month, those X-ray machines should be operated without the auto detection algorithm enabled.
Why don't they just let us walk through at this point? If you
wait a minute. Yeah, this guy's a dick for revealing this. You had a nice experience. Were any planes blown up?
No, but
now the more likelihood is that something like this would happen if he hadn't said anything.
The whole report is worth listening to. It's about 5 minutes. It's in the show notes under "Shut Up, Slave." You can find it there. Oh yeah, and there's a lot more to the.
Well, this guy's an a-hole. And by the way, most of those things, yes, you can turn them up and down. It's true. A magnetometer, you can make it more or less sensitive. Yeah. Generally speaking, they're set to the point where it won't detect a belt buckle. Right. But so what?
Yeah. Well, that's to move people through, but it has nothing to do with safety at this point.
Moving people through. That's the thing they have to do once in a while.
Right. But it has nothing to do with safety. This is just the theater part. It's just
we
annoying.
Know that, but
I know.
There's no reason to talk about it like this. This is ridiculous. I feel like this guy thinks he's doing somebody a favor because he's all in. Oh, terrorists are everywhere. Oh, you got to bust him on this. What a creep.
Poor guy. He's just trying to do his job.
Yeah, he's an idiot.
Okay. New York is.
But by the way, just as a side, since you're talking about that, so I dropped the kids, JC and I'm sorry, not JC, but Jay and Nick at the airport, so they can go up and they're going to spend. They spent a couple of days with the Nick's parents up in Washington. Mm-hmm. So it was people should take notes of this. You should take notes on these things. Monday, they flew out. I drove to the Oakland airport. The place was desolate.
Huh.
There was nobody there.
Right.
I got there 2 hours early because, oh, my God, blah, blah, blah. I drive in Terminal 1. There was not one car even parked on the curb. And in Terminal 2, there was a few cars, but it was about one half what it normally is in Southwest. And they said that the TSA line was non-existent. So Friday, meanwhile, was a nightmare.
Yeah, I'll bet.
Before the weekend, but then Monday was nothing. So people take note. There are these moments, and I've flown on them, where you go to the airport, there's nobody there.
Right. Well, it was pretty busy, both sides. But New York was insane. And there is nothing wrong with the economy if you look at New York. Of course, it's no one from New York who's in there. We stayed in Soho. I think I told you about the app that the former New York banker turned me on to, the Hotel Tonight.
You have not told me about this little secret.
Oh, okay. Hotel Tonight, which is it's a website or an app. It's kind of like an Overstock, only it's for douchebags, like the former New York banker. So you get swanky rooms. We got the 60 Soho for a little over $200 a night. It was, that's half the price of what those rooms cost. So that was fantastic. And it was a fun hotel, a little boutique-y, but at least we were out of the Midtown area. It was just they're hurting people like sheep. everywhere. Okay, walk past that display, walk past that Fifth Avenue. You can't even, if you wanted to, but you can't move in or out of it. You just have to go with the flow. It was completely overcrowded. And then downtown in the Village, I mean, it's really quaint, and all you see is restaurants and stores to buy stuff. There's no infrastructure. I didn't see a laundromat. I didn't see, any of the things even grocery stores are very few and far between. So I conclude that this must be just mainly Asian NYU students who are hanging around, who live there. Because there's
beginning of the end.
It really is. There's nothing to live. And although, wow, we took a look at the Hudson Yards. I'd not seen any of these West Side projects with the buildings. It's just insane what's being built with no one in them. It's just, it's Russian owned. No one wants them. No one can afford the taxes. I don't know how it's going to work out, except for the tourism. That works really well. The tourism.
Well, if they want to turn New York City into a tourist haven, there goes the Zephyr. Wait, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Whoa! Economy is doing great.
Oh my God! Woo! Listen to that horn!
Back to New York.
People like the Zephyr report.
Yeah, of course.
Anyway, the economy's doing, yes. And New York, if they want to turn New York into nothing more than just a tourist attraction where people can point at the tall buildings and go, wow, then they got it made. But if there's no grocery stores and all the little things you need to sustain a actual living public, it's not going to be.
I don't think there's any way to sustain a normal living public. It's just not there. And, and a line of people who are still standing in line for cronuts. And what is wrong with people?
Who is standing in line for cronuts?
Yeah, there was a whole line, and every single day was right by the hotel. What are they standing in line for? For cronuts? Oh my God! For half an hour for a croissant donut cross. Like, okay. Now, not as many dogs as I had expected. Although the airport, there were quite a few dogs when we arrived, but in the city itself, in general, not that many dogs. Very noticeable amongst the women in New York, particularly the younger women. All of them, well, not all, but a huge majority have enormous fake eyelashes. And the keeper and I, we attribute this, it has to be something with Instagram that this is happening. But I mean, the eyelashes that...
Is it millennial?
Yes. Oh, yeah. It's young women.
Goes on the list.
Yes. The eyelashes the young women are wearing they're like Betty Boop. They bat their eyes and my hair flies all over the place. It's noticeable. So I thought that was interesting. Let's see. What else did we have? Oh, yes. So we have stalls. There's always little stalls around Central Park or just anywhere that people can set stuff up. By the way, plenty of counterfeit China stuff, counterfeit Gucci, Chanel. That's just going on. That never stopped. I thought that was supposed to end.
That was supposed to end.
Oh, no. And it's not just Canal Street. It's everywhere. And they got that little rug. Boom. They got everything there. And they're out in the open. No one's hassling them. And I guess that's still okay.
Yeah, so much for copyright enforcement.
Exactly. So we got that. Cash. Oh, yes. So there are stalls peppered throughout New York, even whether it was Washington Square Park, I think Central Park. Anyway, stands with Trump hate buttons filled.
Trump hate buttons.
There's just
haters gotta hate.
A whole stand of resist, F Trump, and it's organized. These aren't just single guys.
Somebody in New York's got to send me some photos of this.
Yeah, no, it's everywhere. But anyone around Columbus Circle can take some. I think I got one picture, but we need to have multiple. I should have done that actually.
Yes, you should have.
Yes, let me see what else was there that was interesting. Yeah, well, the cash is a problem. They're trying to move to non-cash systems, and we went to see Moulin Rouge on Broadway. And in the foyer, like, oh, grab a drink. There's a guy standing there with a little stand, and order 2 drinks. And I said, what do you want, cash or card? He said, no, card is easy. Okay, so give him the card. And first he has to go to a wireless terminal. He has to clickety-click, press some buttons. Then he has to get the terminal, the portable card reader terminal, has to type in the amount. That didn't communicate. Then he sticks the card in, pulls it out, and then I have to sign the piece of paper. Like, when is this going?
How is that easier?
Exactly. I'm like, why didn't we just do cash? Yeah, well, I don't really have a lot of change. And it was, just one of those minor irritating
millennial, too.
And then Moulin Rouge, which I'd not seen the movie, and apparently the theatrical production has been updated with the songs. I don't know if you've ever seen it, John, but it's cleverly done. I enjoyed it very much. They have an intermission. And the minute the intermission hits, so the lights go down, actors are off stage, lights come up, everybody jumps up, taking selfies, running down to the stage. Oh, look at that. And it's like, it was bizarre. Just selfie after selfie. Like, oh my God. I have nothing better to do.
That's pathetic.
Discuss the piece with your seat, with your neighbor, or whatever.
No. We got it. That would take analysis. Yeah. Selfies are better.
Yeah.
Besides, you can post them on Instagram to show off that you're at the play and nobody else is.
That's the point.
Look at me. I'm at the play. I've been at the play, and you're not.
Food-wise, 2 experiences. One, I was very surprised to find foie gras on the menu. Which I immediately ordered and devoured. I said, how can this be? Is this not outlawed in your city, in your state? And which I was informed it goes into effect 2021. So if you want your foie gras in New York, you can still get it while the eating is good. Was it
duck or was it goose?
It was goose.
It was?
Yeah. It's apparently, I thought it was outlawed, but it's not.
I know that, most of the duck foie gras is actually out of Long Island. There's some farm there that does.
Oh, it wouldn't surprise me, yeah.
And so New York is a big producer of the duck foie gras, and it seems to me that it would be that they're, I don't know, hurting their own businesses. California also makes foie gras, and they banned it.
Yeah.
It's dumb.
Well, it's still it's not banned yet in New York. And then we went to this place called Flippers, which was a pancake waffle house. Now, I
thought it was a stripper place.
That's what initially I was like, yeah, let's go there.
Flippers.
But this wasn't, it was like an upscale kind of hipster.
Oh, bro. There was a place if you went down to Birmingham, Alabama, you get the same food for like $2.
Well, wait for it. So I order pancakes and the bacon. That's it. Pancakes and bacon. It takes 20 minutes, comes back on the plate. There's 2 pancakes. On each pancake is a sunny side up fried egg. And on the side, it's truffle fries. All right. This is, first of all, what is this with the eggs? Yes, that's a menu failure. Most people just know we're going to serve it that way. I said, well, I don't want the eggs on my pancake. If I wanted that, I'd go to a truck stop. And even then, I don't think I want it. It was very odd. And then who serves truffle fries with pancakes?
Truffle fries. Oh, brother.
It's
I have an idea.
Now, Tina had waffles. And
people will love it.
Tina had chicken and waffles, which apparently was really good. It had some kind of molasses type dressing or syrupy stuff. And that was outstanding. But I couldn't get beyond the fact that I ordered pancakes and then these 2 eggs show up. It's like,
I love eggs on my pancakes.
Oh, I am not a fan.
I think I picked up that when I was an air pollution inspector, and we used to eat at Denny's all the time. And Denny's used to always serve an egg on the Grand Slam, whatever the hell it was.
Yeah, that is the Grand Slam.
Yes. That's where you eat. Mm-hmm. While you're eating at the fancy place, I, as a government worker, was eating at Denny's. But I got into the egg on the pancakes, and that was that. Mm. So when I make my pancakes, I usually make an egg.
Well, hard pass for me.
Truffle fries. I haven't tried that.
Oh, the whole thing was strange. But we had a great time. Thank you, everybody. Thanks for letting us take a show off just to recuperate. I haven't really recuperated. I think that that 1 hour time difference, somehow it can mess me up more than 6 hours. It's very strange.
It's only 1 hour.
I know, but waking up early and just
Yeah.
what can I say? And I hope everybody enjoyed your story time. I certainly did. We love listening to it. We love your stories.
Well, I got more.
Oh, really? you have more that you haven't repeated yet. Okay, all right, interesting.
Well, most of them are reruns. Let's face it.
So, let's see. There's a number of things we can talk about. I don't think there's much about the debate that we have to cover. That was on Thursday after the show. I don't think is there anything that we have to?
It was nothing. It was a nothing burger.
Oh, geez. All I heard is that Joe Biden went into some stuttering thing, and half of America thought he was making fun of kids, and the other half thought people were making fun of him for stuttering. Did you follow this at all?
No, I did not follow that at all. And all I know is his eyeball didn't blow out, and they didn't jack him up enough with enough drugs.
Well, listen to this. Here it is. This is 8 seconds.
A little kid who says, I can't talk. What do I do? I have scores of these young women and men.
Now, I think Joe stutters like that. I think he got caught in it. I don't think he was making fun of any kids.
No, I think he was making fun of or not making fun, but describing a stuttering kid.
Really?
It was just straight up, yeah.
He's a stutterer. Remember, that was his excuse when he did poorly in the debates.
That's why he felt he could do that gag, because he, as a former stutterer, he could be a stutterer. Or he wasn't mocking a stutterer. He was just showing how a stutterer does sometimes talk.
Really? To me, it sounds like he wanted to do that, but he got caught, and he actually got into a stutter mode. It sounds like a true. Okay. Let me listen again.
A little kid who says, I can't talk. What do I do? I have scores of these young women and men.
I don't know. Interesting that we had a vice president and a president who both were stammerers/stutterers in Obama. He could do it too. He could get caught in the loop.
No, Obama is a total, If he wasn't a stutterer when he was younger, I'd be surprised, but he's definitely a stammerer.
Right, and then Joe...
same thing.
Yeah, maybe milieu. Maybe that's what it is. The milieu.
Could be.
The milieu of them. Okay. So that was it. So the debate was... I'm not going to use the word. I can't believe you used it, but...
I used it because you used it again like a few weeks ago.
Well, then let me get to the thousands.
By the way, I use it differently.
Uh-huh.
I say nothing burger.
Oh, instead of nothing burger.
Two distinct words as opposed to nothing burger.
You are a man of so many talents.
It's unbelievable I can do that.
Let's get to the 1,000 sealed indictments that we've been waiting for as we are still awaiting the
Geneva clip.
Well, no, DeGeneva he's not showing up much anymore. He's kind of been banned because he keeps promising too much. But Fox News did an interview with Barr, and in this case, video would be helpful because he has a real smug smile on his face when he's going through these little bits. And the first question here is about the Durham investigation, which is, of course, Horowitz was just a setup. The Horowitz report. No. The thousands of sealed indictments, they're coming in this one. But it could take a few weeks, few months.
Can you update us on that in terms of how that's going or what the time frame is when we can expect to see that report?
Well, he's moving, very diligently. I'm not involved in the day-to-day work of that. I know in just a general sense what they're looking at, and otherwise it's his investigation, and he runs it as he sees fit. And I haven't given him any timelines, and we haven't discussed the timeline as to when he thought it would be complete. But just my general, there were people who expected it to come a week or two after Horowitz's report. And just based on my general knowledge of the things he's looking at and has to look at in the future, I wouldn't think that he'd be in a position, for quite a few months. And
it's a criminal investigation. But there are criminal investigation elements to it.
Yes.
Oh, there you go. There's thousands of sealed indictments. Criminal investigation ongoing. And he's doing a very, very thorough investigation, including the intelligence agencies. Heads will roll.
He's not just looking at the FBI. He's looking at other agencies and also private and departments and also private actors. And so it's a much broader investigation. And also he's not just looking at the FISA aspect of it. He is looking at all the conduct, both before and after the election. It would include agencies that could have been involved in this, but we're getting a lot of cooperation from those agencies. You have to remember on something like this, part of the reason you do something like this is to deal with some of the various theories that have been thrown out and either show one way or the other whether they're valid or not. So the fact that you're looking into certain allegations doesn't necessarily mean you give them credence. And I think the media understood that when Bob Mueller was doing his work.
Now, listen, this is very interesting. I'm glad you caught that. Listen to what he says here at the end.
Some of the various theories that have been thrown out and either show one way or the other whether they're valid or not. So the fact that you're looking into certain allegations doesn't necessarily mean you give them credence. And I think the media understood that when Bob Mueller was doing his work, and they should bear that in mind when they're watching Durham.
I'm not quite sure what is he saying that, well, it may look like we've got thousands of sealed indictments, but don't be fooled. I mean, what exactly is he saying?
Exactly. You nailed it.
That's what it sounded like to me. It's like, calm down. It ain't going to be all that. Very disappointing. We've been promised. We've been promised.
We've been promised nothing.
And then Giuliani. Oh, my goodness. Giuliani went on Glenn Beck's show.
The guy's a maniac. I love this guy.
Giuliani is there, and he's got papers, and he's showing, affidavits. He's saying he's going to send him to jail. He's going to prosecute Joe Biden, Hunter Biden. They've stolen billions of dollars.
Here's the proof. Not, Adam Schiff lies. Here's the proof. Now, the Ukrainians started to investigate this. 2 people from our embassy went to see them and told them, don't investigate it. We don't care. We don't care about the $5.3 billion of our taxpayers' money. And you say, well, why would they do that? And then there was even a lot more pressure. Why would they do that? Because what this shows is that our embassy was giving this money not to the government. They were giving it to NGOs. You know who the biggest NGO owner is?
Yeah, George Soros.
Oh, my God. Anti-Semitic. We're anti-Semitic now.
I know.
We said the word George Soros. I'll be damned if you're going to call me anti-Semitic. I'm not anti-Semitic. I prosecuted Italian criminals. I prosecuted Jewish criminals. I prosecuted every kind of criminal imaginable. I even prosecuted some Martian criminals, I think.
Okay, Rudy.
This money is going to Democratic NGOs.
I know.
And they waste half of it. The government gets half of it. And here's what the decent Ukrainians told me. And there are a lot of decent Ukrainians. That you guys, particularly under Obama, where corruption got much worse, they will all testify. You guys come here like Biden and you lecture us on corruption. And then our people laugh at you because he and his son, 2 of the most corrupt people in the country, they all knew he was a joke.
Can you convince me that this will come out, that these people will be judged?
It sounds like Beck is pretty annoyed by thousands of sealed indictments as well.
And yes, exactly.
I'm going to try until I die, so they better kill me. I mean, there's no way they shouldn't be prosecuted. This should be in a federal court. I know federal courts better than anybody. I will be completely immodest and say I was the most successful U.S. attorney in the last 50 years. These are out-and-out crimes. If anybody's afraid of prosecuting them, you make me the special prosecutor. With 2 people and not $35 million, I'll prosecute every single one of them myself.
All right. Rudy Giuliani laying it down. Smackdown. And and everything that we've discussed and the reports we've gotten about Franklin Templeton Investments, how the money is routed around, and then ultimately, and now they're coming back again after Pelosi's kid. Apparently, he was, I think we played a clip of him. He was there pretending he was there for baseball, but he was consulting for some other pipeline company or something. I'm telling you, thousands of sealed indictments. If someone doesn't go to jail, I will lose a lot of faith. And a lot of people
no one's
with
going
me.
to jail.
Somebody's got to go to jail. Somebody's got to go to jail.
A couple of fines here and there, and somebody's got to force to give the money back.
And Lindsey Graham, remember, he was there in Ukraine with all the shenanigans with McCain and with with the whole Clinton team, with Brennan and with Victoria Kagel-Nuland with her F the EU quote. And so Lindsey was first, and he was like, well, we're just going to do a real speedy trial. We're just going to vote in the Senate on this impeachment. We'll be done with it so we can get back to doing stuff, because he's afraid that he'll be implicated in some of these obvious corrupt practices that were going on. But he had a meeting with the president, and now he sings a different tune.
So I just met with the president, and he is demanding his day in court. Every American accused of a crime or wrongdoing gets their day in court, apparently, except Donald Trump. And if you believe the Clinton impeachment trial was fair, that's exactly the same type trial that will happen in the Senate with President Trump. But I just left President Trump. He's mad as hell that they would do this to him, and now deny him his day in court. The reason they're denying his day in court is they know their case sucks.
Lindsey,
that's a great. I'll give you a borderline clip for that one. I didn't hear that. It's funny.
It sucks. I tell you.
So, well, he probably assured Lindsey
that he's not going to go to jail.
Yeah, he says if anything happens, I'll bail you out. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, because Lindsey was like, not for a trial at all. Anyway, this whole thing.
Well, I don't know. I mean, the idea that there's no, they just kick it out to make it look like a joke is, I think, the way to go, as opposed to just dragging this on for another year with new testimonies and new showboating. Although it will prevent them from doing anything, and it will also screw up the schedules of the senators running for president.
Right.
I mean, there's elements there that are positive, but for the most part, it would be nicer if they just kicked us to the curb as fast as they could and get it over with. They would be forgotten by the time of the election.
Yeah, I don't think that's the plan on either side. I think everyone's vying for this timeline and who can we screw up more. And the media, I mean, this is the red meat. This is what they need. I mean, my God, I've seen the media is so deprived. They need something now that they're even trying to create a horse race between Yang and Mayor Pete. Like,
come on.
Have you seen
There's
it?
a lot of really, later in the show, we'll have a lot of international news that's going on. Lots of very interesting stuff going on. And you know, that is not being covered because the media is just too bloodthirsty over this one lone topic.
Right.
And I do have a few clips I want to play about impeachment.
Okay.
I want to let's play the catch-up clip. This is the Trump rundown on NBC, talking about, everything from the impeachment to the Christmas surprise.
Tell me, is it Jeff Bezos?
I wish.
Oh, too bad. That would have been a true Christmas gift.
On this Christmas Eve, President Trump is sharpening his attacks against Democrats as the standoff over the impeachment process intensifies. Speaking from his Mar-a-Lago resort, the president accused House Speaker Nancy Pelosi of hating the entire Republican Party. And the president also addressed North Korea's ominous warning of a Christmas surprise. All of it creating a sharp contrast to his holiday greetings to troops overseas. Chief White House correspondent Hallie Jackson has the latest from West Palm Beach.
On this Christmas Eve, the president's making his own list of who's nice, like Mitch McConnell.
Very smart guy, very good guy, and a very fair guy.
And who's not, like Nancy Pelosi.
She's doing a tremendous disservice to the country. She hates the Republican Party. She hates all of the people that voted for me.
It's a familiar refrain from the president, frustrated as negotiations over a Senate impeachment trial appear to be on a holiday hiatus. Democrats back the House Speaker as she holds off on sending those articles of impeachment to the Senate until she's confident that process will be fair. Still, the president insists it's Republicans who have the upper hand.
We're in a very good position. Ultimately, that decision is going to be made by Mitch McConnell, and he will make it. He has the right to do whatever he wants. He's the head of the Senate.
The trial's start date in question here at home, and overseas, questions on the timing of something else. The so-called Christmas surprise North Korea's been hinting at for weeks, ever since officials there released these photos of Kim Jong-un on horseback visiting a sacred site, seen as a sign Pyongyang was plotting an aggressive move.
We'll find out what the surprise is, and we'll deal with it very successfully, and let's see what happens.
U.S. military and intelligence officials are on alert for a possible long-range missile test, with new satellite photos showing North Korea expanding a factory used to produce those missiles. The president downplaying that Christmas gift threat with a quip.
Maybe it's a nice present. Maybe it's a present where he sends me a beautiful vase as opposed to a missile test.
I saw that. Oh, no, a vase. And then we've had nothing. Another disappointing.
The vase. The vase may be stuck in shipping or at customs.
So disappointing that we didn't get anything from Kim Jong-un. His Christmas surprise.
Meanwhile, of course, Pelosi pulled back the sending the paperwork over, even though, according to some experts, it doesn't matter where she does or not. But I got this clip of her answering the question of somebody accusing her of playing games. And I played the clip, and I was producing it last night. I'm listening to it. Wait, we played this clip already. And so I went back and I realized I have from a month ago, I have a very similar clip where she just loses her mind. And we remember that clip, but it wasn't the last show, the show before that. It was way back. And so you listen to this clip, and this is a deja vu clip.
Run the risk, as some Republicans have said, of looking like you're playing games with impeachment if you hold on to these articles for too long.
I said what I was going to say, Nancy. When we bring the bill, which is, just so you know, there's a bill made in order by the Rules Committee that we can call up at any time in order to send it over to the Senate and to have the provisions in there to pay for the impeachment. And then the next step, the whatever you want to call it, the trial. That is where you put the managers. I was not prepared to put the managers and that bill yet because we don't know the arena that we are in. Frankly, I don't care what the Republicans say. Any other questions? Not on this subject. I've said this is it. I honored Nancy.
What clip was? I don't remember. I mean, it sounds like she sounds often. I don't know if I remember the clip.
That's the problem.
Okay,
she always sounds like this. She can't. Does. She's incoherent.
She does. And meanwhile, the old meme is back that the president is a Russian agent. This just continues. I mean, I'm sure it was slow over the holiday for the B teams to come in and get guests. And who did I find here?
They had their old notes.
Well, this was very funny. I got Democratic Congresswoman Torres. Yes, I'm not sure where is she. She may be from Alaska. I mean, they were really scraping the barrel. And here's what she said about the ongoing controversy with the president.
It's great to have you, and I wonder how concerned you are that Putin was able to influence not just through sort of Russian meddling and trying to persuade.
Yeah, this is my favorite meme. They will not stop. They keep saying that Russian disinformation about Ukraine's possible involvement in the 2016 election, which would, in this case, according to what we've been told, relate to the Steele dossier, is just categorically wrong. It's been debunked. It comes directly from Putin. Putin has put this into the heads of every single member of the Republican Party.
It's great to have you, and I wonder how concerned you are that Putin was able to influence not just through sort of Russian meddling and trying to persuade voters or Americans, but actually to influence the president in a way that has him picking what Putin's saying over his own intel community.
I think after the 2016 elections, the gloves were really off when it came to Vladimir Putin's influence with President Trump and the GOP, because let's not forget, the GOP continues to parrot not only on the floor, but also going on to Fox News, all of the things, the lies that Putin continues to spread, blaming and deflecting everyone else on his interference in our U.S. elections.
Why do you think the president was such an easy target for Putin here?
Well, we know the answer to this one.
I am afraid that Vladimir Putin may have something on the president, and it is the reason why the president has continued to play the handmaid to Vladimir Putin.
Hookers pissing on the bed.
Inviting him to the White House and opening the doors and not having any advisors present, taking the notes, from the interpreter and continuing to talk to him and continuing to parrot everything that he tells him. Russia is no friend.
Who is this moron?
She's a congresswoman. Torres. I'll look it up for you. Almost done.
U.S. They have never been a friend to us. They continue to compromise us internationally. They continue to attack our friends and our allies overseas. So we have to be very careful. We have to keep a close eye on how this continues to evolve.
Oh, I'm sorry. She's from California.
Yeah. Well, that makes nothing but sense.
Yes. So, again, it's obviously Putin has a PP tape. That's why the president is acting like this.
We already talked about this. Even if he hasn't, we already know about it.
Just keep on.
So how's this going to be? How's that blackmail?
Just keep repeating. Then we had.
I don't think they are repeating. I think they're honestly sincere.
Yes. It's clear that
somebody's got them repeating it, but they're idiots. Well, let's play one more. This is the kicker. Well, wait, I'm gonna skip it. Well, let's go to this one first. This is Alex Jones. Now I want to give you a prep.
Seriously, you're just doing this just to irk me.
This one's interesting because there's always this information. There's always this kind of even Pachenik questions Alex Jones about. Who's
who was originally
what is Alex Jones? Who is Alex Jones? He drops a little gem in here. First, he's going on about how these guys are trying to set people up for blackmail, and they're going to. And then he drops a bombshell in the middle of it as he's just ranting, and you won't even notice it. Except I kind of ended it. Well, I actually let it go a little further, but now that I pointed out, you'll notice it. But I'm listening to this, going. What was the point of that little nugget here?
I always loved Bill Hicks.
One time got convicted smuggling kids. Now she runs the Amber Alert. This is like something out of a nightmare.
He's talking about the woman in Haiti who smuggled the kids out and then.
Yeah, but this is the lead up.
Okay.
Don't worry about it.
All right. Science fiction movie, but let's look at some of these documents. Here's a look at the Clinton body count, and these are just well-known cases, and now there's been so many others that have died that have been connected to the Clintons. And this whole network they're using of blackmail to control people through folks like Jeffrey Epstein. And then over here, you've got the Epoch Times breakdown of all of this and how they created the insurance policy and Fusion GPS, the fake dossier, and tried to set Trump up with double agents with the Russians, but Trump never took the bait. And now these people who are tied into this whole network are politically trying to impeach and remove the president of the United States, but they're getting more and more desperate as their operatives are exposed. So we got to ask ourselves, what are they going to do? They're going to threaten to release dirt on all of these people that they've been blackmailing in this network if they don't do what they're told. But by InfoWars and by you and by President Trump, who's been going after these networks, exposing Spygate and exposing how they're controlling people with payoffs and blackmail and corruption and threats and lawsuits. Then, as this information comes out, it's only going to implicate them because they can only get away with the blackmail when people don't know about the larger system and they can just leak in the news that somebody was having sex with a 14-year-old girl or that somebody is a Satanist or that someone is involved in the occult or somebody like Adam Schiff is admittedly at parties doing, quote, Egyptian rituals with Ed Buck and all those dead black men that keep coming out of his house.
Well, this is not new. I've reported on this on the Standard Hotel in California with the chemicals and the chlorine cloud, which apparently was used to dissolve one of Schiff's underage victims. This is not news. This is all part of the thousands of sealed indictments. Yes.
Well, it was news to me that Schiff was hanging out with all these guys that ended up dead in some sort of gay cabal.
Yeah, no, the story is that Schiff accidentally killed a 14-year-old kid. And as Joan said there, the story goes that it was a black kid and that it was 14 and that, Schiff was doing stuff with him and the kid OD'd or something, which is kind of in line with Buck.
Yeah, the Buck, who is a number one major league Democratic.
Well, isn't he in jail now? Isn't he still in arrest, under arrest?
We haven't followed Buck. We should do that. They won't play much about that in the state of California.
Of course not. Of course they won't do
all
that.
All part of the system.
Well, since you brought that up, I might as well play the audio of the latest Kevin Spacey video. Did you see this?
I know about it. It was one of those things. I was working on something else, and I kind of avoided it. And I said, if it's important, Adam will pick it up.
So Kevin Spacey, he did one of these previously. I think it was about a year ago. In the meantime, there's been some nasty stuff that's happened to Kevin Spacey. Not actually stuff that's happened to him, but people who have accused him kind of wind up dead, including, most recently this week, Ari Ben, who was the Norwegian princess's ex-husband, died at his own hand, age 47, and he had openly accused Kevin Spacey of groping him at some event. So people wind up dead when they accuse Kevin Spacey of doing anything. The thinking is that Spacey is somehow connected to these types.
Clintons.
Well, these types of groups who do nutty, rapey things, and he is threatening to expose everything. And this is just the story. So he comes out again with his Frank Underwood accent. So he's doing the whole "I do declare," and he's sitting in front of his fireplace. And first he's stoking up the fire, and then he goes into this 1-minute bit.
You didn't really think I was going to miss the opportunity to wish you a Merry Christmas, did you? It's been a pretty good year, and I'm grateful to have my health back. And in light of that, I've made some changes in my life, and I'd like to invite you to join me. As we walk into 2020, I want to cast my vote for more good in this world.
Ah, yes, I know what you're thinking. Can he be serious?
I'm dead serious. And it's not that hard, trust me. The next time someone does something you don't like, you can go on the attack, but you can also hold your fire and do the unexpected. You can kill them with kindness.
Cue the creepy music. Entertaining, I'll give him that.
Wow.
Kill him with kindness.
This is like the O.J. Simpson tweets.
Yeah, and so his hashtag is KTWK, kill them with kindness. And I don't know, so he's saying, hey, if someone does something bad to you, you can strike out. You could wait. You could wait patiently and kill them with kindness. So, I don't know, man. Kevin Spacey is a trip. I'm so happy he's in the world doing this. It makes it so interesting. Excellent.
It's insanity out there. Okay, I got my last impeachment clip. I think this is it.
Mm-hmm.
This is the, just so we know, because we've been teasing this a bit, and it's going to continue for a while, which is more impeachment articles coming.
Oh, geez.
A House Judiciary Committee lawyer has raised the possibility of additional articles of impeachment against President Trump if the House uncovers new evidence that Trump attempted to obstruct investigations of his actions. The possibility was raised in a court filing Monday amidst legal battle over whether the Democrats can force former White House counsel Don McGahn to testify. lie. McGahn was special counsel Robert Mueller's central witness. His testimony could relate to whether Trump tried to obstruct the Mueller investigation. The House has already impeached Trump for abuse of power and obstruction of Congress related to Trump's effort to pressure Ukraine to investigate his political rival, Joe Biden. This is not the first time some Democratic lawmakers have raised the prospect of additional articles of impeachment. Among them, Democratic Texas Congressmember Al Green, who in 2017 was the first Congressmember to call for President Trump's impeachment from the floor of the House. This is Congressmember Green speaking on Democracy Now! Just after Trump's impeachment.
We have brought these articles of impeachment dealing with the bigotry, the hatred, the homophobia, Islamophobia, xenophobia, all of the invidious phobias, the anti-Semitism. We brought 3 articles of impeachment addressing these things, understanding, of course, that the House of Representatives went so far as to condemn the president for his racist comments. But that wasn't enough. Condemnation was at best impeachment light. If Andrew Johnson could be impeached in Article 10 of the Articles of Impeachment against him for reasons rooted in his hatred, his bigotry, and racism, this president can be impeached for these reasons as well.
I tell you, they have so overplayed their hand with this. No one cares. No one's watching. Everyone is completely tuned out, not interested. Even the debates got, 6 million viewers, lowest so far. And then, I've seen people tweeting, is Pence now president? That's how stupid we are. No one's paying attention. I guess Pence is president? What? These people don't know. They don't care. They're still living in the days of Watergate and thinking they're Woodward and Bernstein, whatever they think they've accomplished. It's not working. The American public, it's not that they don't believe it. They just completely don't care. They've been inundated with headlines and clickbait and that no one reads. It just doesn't care. Do not care at all, except for the mainstream media. I have a couple clips to wrap this up. Michael Moore. Now, I don't know if this was a podcast. Well, they did bleep it, so maybe it was on CNN. Michael Moore in conversation with Robert De Niro. Could you ask for a better pairing? That is like pairing.
This already has clip of the day written all over it.
This is like pairing foie gras with a beautiful Riesling, my friend. This is what you want.
Actually, foie gras and Chateau de Cam is considered the absolute top pairing ever.
Is that a Riesling?
No, it's a Sauterne.
Oh,
delicious sweet Sauterne.
The Riesling I had was almost like a Sauterne.
It was probably a Baron Auslese or something.
I have no idea what it was. It was one of those, hey, we'll pair the wine for you. I'm like, okay, you do it. That's much easier. You do that. Anyway, here we go. Michael Moore with the infamous Robert De Niro.
Right, I know. Yes, if people are thinking that I'm talking to one of those characters, Mr. De Niro is not going to whack any of the Republicans or do anything to them or Jake LaMotta them to the ground.
No, even when I said I want to,
unless you wanted to, please.
Trump in the face after I made a thing way but a few months before he was elected, and I was meaning it as a figure of speech, not literally punching him in the face, but just to say, to see what it's like to hear what you said by somebody else. Like me, say, I want to punch you in the face to see what that's like. That's what it's, how dare you say that to people? Somebody who's being harassed in the audience or something. Yeah. How dare you? That's wrong.
Right. But it would kind of feel good to punch. Not hurt him, but just punch him in the face. Just a little.
Listen to these. They're actually talking about physical violence and how cool it would be.
Say that to people. Somebody who's being harassed in the audience or something. Yeah. How dare you? That's wrong.
Right. But it would kind of feel good to punch him. Not hurt him, but just punch him in the face. Just a little. Just cathartic.
I'd like to see a bag of shit right in his face. Hit him right in the face like that and let the picture go all over the world. And that would be the most humiliating thing because he needs to be humiliated. He needs to be confronted and humiliated by whoever his opponent is, his political opponent. They have to stand up to him. They don't have to do it in an obvious physical way, but they have to have the formidability to confront him and to put him in his place, because the people have to see that to see him be humiliated.
So he would
what
like
a sick guy that guy is. This is the reason he was pretty much banished from the Golden Globes nominations for his role in The Irishman, which he was expected to get a nomination for Best Actor. They snubbed him.
Oh, you think
because
it's because
they
of
can't put
this?
up with this guy anymore?
You can't trust him in a live telecast either.
No.
But I'll tell you, to say, and he walked it back a little bit at the end, but to say, I'd like to see a big bag of shit just explode right in his face and the picture should go all over the world. That's exactly what happened with Pim Fortuyn, who was going to win the Dutch election in 2000. And he was an outsider, and people just vilified him. And then it was the animal activists, and they started throwing cakes and pies in his face. And 2 weeks before the election, he's shot dead by one of these nut jobs. You got to be careful when you're saying that kind of stuff.
Yeah, no, De Niro is a horrible person.
It's so because he's still. I watched The Irishman. I was able to watch without being triggered by it being him. And he's still a great actor.
No, he's a great actor. I couldn't watch The Irishman though. It's so slow.
I liked it.
If you want to watch you want to watch a well-paced movie that is outstanding, humorous. It's very funny. At top of his game is the Tarantino movie Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
I saw that. I didn't like it. It was okay. The story just wasn't great for me. It was shot beautifully. I get the connection to Tate and Manson and all that, but here's a review for you. Since I am Team Jen, I've always been against Angelina Jolie in this. Jennifer Aniston and Reese Witherspoon got paid a lot of money, no doubt, to create a series for Apple TV, and I decided that I'd sign up for the free month, and but also I will go another month just to support this show, The Morning Show.
Everybody likes the show. It's not that funny, though.
It's not meant to. See, when we first started watching it, I thought, well, this will be a show about a morning show, and I kind of get it, and it'll be really interesting. But it's not. It's completely, and they'll say it's not really based on Matt Lauer, but it's about Matt Lauer. It's about Lauer. It's about Weinstein. It's about this station that goes through the exact same scenario, right down to the button under the desk that automatically closes Matt Lauer's door. In this case, it's played expertly by Steve Carell. This is not meant to be funny. This is a drama, and it's very, very well done. I mean, I'm blown away by, and I don't. It may be a mistake for them to do another season. I think they could have ended it where they did. But what is extremely cool about it is it shows what we've been talking about for 12 years. When people are in production television mode, how they talk about on-air hosts, how they talk about what's shit, what's no good, get this person off the air. The stuff that when we say we're in executive mode, we're going to talk about someone about their external features because that's how it's done in television. And you see right down to every single scripted word. It's extremely accurate. And what I like is they take both sides of the rapiness of Matt Lauer by showing that the culture within a television production studio can sometimes just get silly. And I don't know if I can explain this without you kind of have to see it, but John, you know it. When you're doing a show with the same crew and it's either every day is a better way to look at it, particularly if you're all getting up at 3:30 in the morning, then it happens that, funny innuendos or double entendres will become kind of what the whole crew was joking about. Am I explaining that right?
Yeah, I think you're explaining it as well as you can. Which is that people they developed their own language. It's so much like our show. We developed our own language.
Yes.
And you develop your own language on a set.
Yep.
And there'll be just one word will mean a whole bunch of things to people that work there.
Which explains why when we saw the actual videotape of Matt Lauer saying something really suggestive and rude to, I think, the makeup person, and that was caught on camera, no one else is saying anything about it. And he was saying, hey, I really love that dress. You can wear that anytime. That can often be, I'm not saying it's right, but that can often be the exact type of vibe you have on a television set with the crew, and everyone will participate.
Culture.
Yeah, and everyone will participate, men and women alike. Now, there's no doubt that there was extreme violations happening, at least depicted in this show. But it's a great show if you want to understand how television really works, because it's extremely accurate in my experience. And also, it's just a good piece where they look at Me Too from all sides, not necessarily just one bad actor is Matt Lauer the rapist. No, the female host participated in the culture, and it's a little more gray than you think it might be. So I would recommend watching that. Get the free trial then, at least, to see 1 or 2 episodes. It's outstanding work, really outstanding. The only bummer. Yeah, there's a bummer.
A bummer. Wow.
The consulting producer, because part of it is loosely based on his book, Top of the Morning, is Brian Seltzerwater. He consulted on this thing, and not so much for the hashtag Me Too stuff, but for the accuracy of what it's like to be on a top-rated morning show, everyone's sleep deprived, and kind of how that works in television. So he knows enough about that. He's a gossipy kind of guy. Yeah. He understands that.
That thing that a lot of people don't understand is those morning shows, which you come out of New York, people have to get up at 3 a.m, like you say, or 4, to get to the studio and get prepared. A lot of the people that are on those shows are that actually can handle those shows are abnormal to begin with. And so they can do that weird sleep deprivation type of show. Brian Gumbel, who was on the Today Show for a decade or more, for a long time, very serious guy. He said once that he only needs 2 hours. 2 hours of sleep. Yeah. He says sleep's overrated.
Well,
and
they show
most people can't do that kind of work.
They show this the alarm going off at 3:30 constantly, kind of like a Groundhog Day. I've done that. I haven't done morning television, done morning radio for several months at Z100 in New York, and it's hard. You got to go to bed at 8:30. If you want to be any kind of human being, it's I can see why a lot of people would start to do drugs. In fact, a lot of morning radio guys do drugs for that very reason. Not me.
Yeah.
So I do have a Brian Seltzerwater clip as it pertains to the impeachment. Here he is with, this is David Remnick from The New Yorker. Now, is he a columnist, or is he higher
David
up on the food
Remnick
chain?
Took over The New Yorker, and I think he's ruined the magazine, because what he did was he brought in the millennials. They got rid, and it's very noticeable in the cartoons. They got rid of their longtime, I think his name's Bob Manicow or something. He's longtime cartoon editor, and his type of cartoon choices were all classic New Yorker absurdist cartoon punchlines. And now he's running a cartoon collective of some sort, probably making more money than he's ever made before. But they got rid of him, and they put in 2 millennial. I think one of them is a woman. I think one of them is a guy. I can't tell their sexes. But they had a video of them once, and the 2 are so unfunny. And if anyone ever remembers the old show episodes where they had the vice president of comedy, this woman that had no sense of humor, they're very humorless, and the cartoons they pick are often baffling to anybody over 35 years old. And the Remnick is not a positive force in society, apparently.
Well, he and Brian Stelter think a lot of themselves.
Long story.
Yeah, but they think a lot of themselves, apparently.
We've seen the Republicans stuck where they are. Their illusions about Trump remain, and you're right to describe it as a flat line. Here's what I hope that we understand, that the stakes here are immense. It's not just about the political future of one man, Donald Trump. It's about the future of democracy and democratic process, and this is a trend throughout the world. It's about the future of the Earth. We have a party that has decided to be disbelieving about climate change. It's about issues as essential as that. And right now you have a country that is split, and to the great frustration of people like you and people like me, we don't somehow understand. We don't understand why the evidence of things, why facts don't penetrate so many of our brothers and sisters in the United States of America. And this is a source of great frustration for the press.
You talking about computer-generated facts? Or are you talking about facts?
Well, listen to the tail end here, because this is where they get a little nutty about it.
Don't penetrate so many of our brothers and sisters in the United States of America. And this is a source of great frustration for the press.
For the press.
And for anybody who's thinking about these issues that are so important.
It's so horrible for the press, you see. For the press.
Poor press.
For the press. Ugh.
I mean, these are people like Remnick and others who run these magazines. Their scientific background is minimal, if any.
Yeah.
They have no understanding of computer modeling and what a farce it is in general. And they just buy into these things hook, line, and sinker, and it's embarrassing. And then they're humorless, which I think is reflected in the cartoons, and it becomes a nightmare for the culture. The New Yorker they still have good articles, they still have good writers that force their stuff to go in there, but generally speaking, it's going to fail because of Remnick.
Well, all they need to do is just listen to Nancy Pelosi.
This is about science, science, science.
See, when she says it 3 times, you know it's going to come true. Yeah.
Well, at least she didn't say "and science." So
No.
I do have one last topper of the impeachment clips.
Okay.
We might as well listen to another madman. This is Ralph Nader, who, by the way, thinks that Trump. I had to cut this down because he went on forever on a rant, but he includes in his rant that Trump should be impeached because he's a climate change denier.
He's called for impeaching Trump for deliberately abetting the climate crisis, among other issues. His latest book, written with Mark Green, is titled Fake President, Decoding Trump's Gaslighting, Corruption, and General BS, except he spells it out. Welcome back to Democracy Now!, Ralph. So first, respond to what is happening this week. It is historic. What do you think about the grounds on which...
Hold up. Why was it okay for everyone to say shithole when the president apparently had said that, even though we don't know if he actually did? But then we can't say bullshit? I mean, where's the line? Is that a problem because it's not the president, or how does this work?
You're asking me?
Yeah.
I don't know.
He spells it out. Welcome back to Democracy Now!, Ralph. So first, respond to what is happening this week. It is historic. What do you think about the grounds on which President Trump is about to be impeached?
Far too narrow and perilous. If Nancy Pelosi wants to remove Donald Trump, she went on a very narrow base. She is clearly not supportive of impeachment generally. She took it off the table when it was proposed to her in 2007, impeachment of the war criminals, George Bush and Dick Cheney. And she's come forward with a very narrow hand for the most impeachable president of all time.
The most impeachable of all time.
All-time best. We're number one.
Foam finger number one. With that, I'd like to thank you for your courage and say in the morning to you, the man who literally put the C in Christmas spirit, John C. DeVore.
Well, in the morning to you, Mr. Adam Curry. In the morning to all ships at sea, boots on the ground, feet in the air, subs in the water. Subs in the water. And all the dames and knights out there.
In the morning to all of our trolls. How many trolls do we have today? Let me see. It's the second day of Christmas in Europe, Boxing Day in the United Kingdoms, and, still about 800 people. It's good to have them there. Trolls are trolls. We love them. We can get them. NoAgendaStream.com, where you can hang out with all of your fellow trolls, poke fun at anything that's live, or just chat and hang out. That is noagendastream.com. Also, like to, of course, thank our executive producer for episode 1201. It was a special. It was John Storytime, David Orcutt, also known as Sir Rupin Waffles, and he was knighted for this incredible effort. Produced that for us. The artwork for the show came to us from Darren O'Neill. Once again, he had already put it in the show before. He gets us. He understands our system. He clearly knew we were going to be producing it before the actual show, and he gave us a nice piece of album art with the best stories of John C. Dvorak, compiled by David Orcutt. The whole production was seamless, and I think a lot of people enjoyed it and had some good fun. And NoAgendaArtGenerator.com is where you can find the artwork that Darren did, but also other artwork. And if you want, you can contribute yourself and get that onto the album art distributed wide around Gitmo Nation. And thank you once again, Darren, who does so much for the show and just keeps on kicking ass with the artwork.
We did have these are two combined shows. They did what I'm going to be reading from here. So it's going to be a little longer than normal. But in fact, if there were two shows that were normal shows, it would be more than this. We just as the chat room troll room is down 20 to 25%, so is the donations, and so I considered it. It was a good. It worked out because we had didn't do a show, but Zachary McLean's at the top of the list with $1,200, and he says 1,200 Norwegian krona for show 1,200, most stable currency over the last 10 years.
Huh.
Need to deep dive on Tesla Solar City scandal lawsuit and Tesla scam as a company.
Yeah, I've been. Is this the lawsuit about their batteries catching fire everywhere?
I don't know about that.
Yeah, they're it's the Solar City batteries you put in your home. They've been catching on fire at Walmart,
burning the house down.
Yes, they've been. Yeah, I think Walmart has filed a suit against them because 5 of their stores caught fire because their batteries keep igniting. So
best price.
Yeah. I don't know what else to do with that. Now, does Zachary want anything? Does he want any
That's all he says.
That's so nice. Well, Zachary, thank you. And yes,
well, if you have anything else you want to contribute, Zachary, in terms of call outs or anything, send us a note.
Or
instant knighting.
I was going to say,
how about that?
Does he want a knighthood? I mean,
let me just hold on. Let's take a look at the email.
I don't think he's on the list. I mean, I've checked. I've checked it twice. Obviously,
I mean, it's possible.
No, I don't know. No, nothing. So
let me see. Get their spelling correct. Yeah.
Nothing, right?
I'm not seeing anything.
Well, Zachary, let us know, and obviously a lot of gratitude and thanks going to you.
Here it is.
No, we do have.
I just sent some. Under Zach McLean.
Mm-hmm.
Well, if the pump comes up, I'll be a happy camper. Boink. I'm on the wrong of the two versions of script. Oh.
Wow. This is really...
He sends a screenshot.
Yeah.
No, the screenshot is a screenshot of what he put in the note.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Zachary, and Merry Christmas.
What else to add?
Yeah, that's good.
Wasn't sure of the deadline, he says. Okay.
No worries.
All right. Well, you did well, Zach. Sir Chris of the Carmel by the Sea, 333.34. ITM and Merry Christmas. The donation take me to the level of baronet, but in the spirit of the Dame Drive, I would like to abdicate and carve out of the funds of my last 3 donations to create a damehood for my wife and love of my life, Kristen, who celebrates her 29th birthday on the 24th. Kristen will join the round table at as Dame Kristen of Carmel by the Sea. I think she's on the list.
Yes, she is.
Thanks for all the great media deconstructions and the best for you both and the whole No Agenda family in the new year. If we could get jobs karma, it'd be great.
Yes,
love and light.
Absolutely, and we'll see your lady and dame to be at the round table later. Fantastic.
Jobs, 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 and jobs. Let's vote for jobs.
You've got karma.
So we have a copy of War and Peace here.
From Baron D.H., Sir D.H. Slammer. Yes. He has a lot to say.
I can't read it.
I can read it. I can do it. I think I can probably wing through this. Let me see. In the morning, Duke and Dr. Gonzo. Jingle request, the full money shot jingle followed by dealer's choice jobs karma. I've got that. Never needed a de-douching. First and most importantly, please find enclosed 333.33 from Baron Sir D.H. Slammer. This donation makes Master Emmett, Sir Emmett, the cute one. He's bringing his whole family into this. This is great. Thus completes peerage for our entire family with Dad Baron D.H. Slammer, Mom Baroness Bang Bang, daughter Dame Simona, the pretty one, oldest son Sir Andrew Keeper of the Mountains, the smart one, and last but definitely not least, the youngest son, age 6, Sir Emmett, the cute one. Secondarily, a few episodes of the best podcast in the universe ago, there was a potential peerage dispute between this distinguished, unassailable, long-standing Baron, listener since 556 and donator since 559, and the recent anonymous Insta-Baron who requested a questionable close protectorate, which to their credit acknowledged could require peerage committee ruling. I can't believe you didn't take care of this, John. Why am I dealing with your peerage committee?
You're not dealing with anything.
I have since communicated with the anonymous Baron and posit to the peerage committee a perfect deal, even though the anonymous Insta-Baron made an embarrassing error when geographically describing their proposed protectorate. The Insta-Baron has been made aware of the error's exact nature and acknowledged their folly. Suffice to say, words matter. Do you know what's going on here?
Yeah.
Well, explain it.
One of the
then.
guys came in and he specifically pointed out that D.H. Slammer and him had a overlaying a couple of their baronies were overlaid, and they didn't want to get into to solicit an army to get into a fight over this minuscule amount of land.
Okay. So what they've done is the minuscule part. As the Baron of my potentially disputed realm, I propose this deal to the Peerage Committee. I will retain in whole and unchanged my recognized good and rightful barony of the Central California coast, Ventura to Santa Cruz, and furthermore petition the Peerage Committee that the Insta-Baron shall be rightfully granted the protectorate which was meant to be requested, that of the Santa Ynez Valley, except for the area where the valley crosses into my long-since recognized territory.
Santa Ynez.
Yeah, okay, well, I'm just doing my best here.
Keep going. Keep going.
Yeah, I'm trying.
Is that the end?
No. I suggest the same passage. Oh, this is going to come to blows eventually. This
doesn't have to be read.
Well, why not? The same passage will likewise be afforded the Insta-Baron in my own protectorate as is standard and customary with no agenda nobility. I suggest this deal because the vast majority of the Insta-Baron's claim cannot reasonably be considered coastal by any sane nobility. Oh, my goodness. Okay. He yields his remaining time. Well,
I believe that the Santa Ynez Valley would be fine as a barony.
Well, the good news is, after all of this disputage of the peerage, we will have the young Sir Emmett at the round table, and we're very excited about that, and we'll see him later. And I'm going to, he wanted what did he want here? He wanted a money shot. I had a money shot? Yeah, money shot. And then what do you want? A dealer's choice jobs karma. Well, we got that.
That's a sure enough money shot. Woo, Jesus. Woo, Lord. Look at that. That's a money shot. Kellyanne Conway is a money shot.
Jobs, 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 and jobs. Let's vote for jobs.
You've got karma.
Onward to Chuck D. In Mesa, Arizona. 333.33. And everybody who did 333, all the executive producers for today's show get to put down a credit for this Christmas special.
Oh, they get the same for. Oh, that's nice. Yeah, you get the Christmas special credit. That's true.
Yes, you get a Christmas special credit if you're going to put it on LinkedIn or any of these job sites. He's in Mesa, Arizona. He says, ITM gents, apologize to our great country for McCain. A big fan of the Cranky Geeks days. Been a piss poor donor, long-time boner, but no more. Here's a little something from our recent house refi. I couldn't live with myself any longer being a member of the 97% who just sit by while you guys, actually about 98%.
Yes, I was going to say it's just more than 98.
While you guys continually help us understand these amygdala-saving truths. Been listening for a few years, have felt freed as the red pill of the no agenda has flushed me from the fog of reality and it shouldn't be the fog of reality is not really the fog of insanity is what it is. And my eyes are open to the truth, hoping for more years of outstanding analysis. Dealer's choice of some Reverend Al. Merry Christmas to both of you and to all the producers. Chuck D from Arizona.
Indeed, Chuck D, and Merry Christmas to you.
The GOP infighting is escalating. Politico says Democrats are outright jitty, happy to watch the GOP implode.
That's your choice of Rev Al.
Okay, now I have to look somebody up because I see there's no thing here, so let me do that. And this is...
Yeah.
This is...
I should have done it earlier because you've been all over that thing. I even heard you say you were using the wrong version of it.
Yeah, I'm using...
Yeah, well, you're using the wrong version. Yes, you are. Ladies and gentlemen, he's going over to the Squirrel Mails. He's going to go get the email that contains the note. He's going to do something. He's always using it. It's the best mail program in the universe. We know it as.
This Eric Hallbritter and his executive producer donation of $333.33.
Wait, Eric Hallbritter? Yes.
Hallbritter.
Hallbritter.
I keep this short. I received his newsletter, present and past tense, in my main email box. You and 3 other guys. GE and anyone using stack ranking effing sucks. Time code, he puts. Listening to episode 1200. Thank you for your G. I wonder what that means.
I don't know.
Karma and Merry Christmas to all Eric. Sir Eric. Sir Eric is naked. That's his title, sorry.
Okay.
Sir Eric is naked.
Okay.
He is a knight.
Okay. Excellent. I'll put that in there for the credits.
Remember. Yeah, Sir Eric is naked.
Mm-hmm.
Daniel Langman, $333.33. Dear John and Adam, Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. This service the two you provide is invaluable. Here's to a prosperous and entertaining 2020.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for the short note, especially thank you for the short note. And we have a little announcement here. We have a thing. I'm waiting for the sign to mention his name.
Yeah. I'm sorry. I got almost everything right for this show, but not this one. But we can try it here.
Ladies and gentlemen, I present the Grand Duke of the Pacific Northwest, Sir Dwayne Melanson.
I hadn't seen him there. Snuck in on the list. Yes, it was a Grand Duke.
333 in Tigard, Oregon. ITM gentlemen, Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. You made a difference to so many of us. Thank you, and keep up the great work. Karma for you too and all our producers and all our military who are spending the holidays away from their families.
Exactly, and that's why we'll add a goat twist.
You've got karma.
Chris Kincaid in Tyler, Texas, 333. For my most esteemed, austere religious scholar, supreme leader, crackpot, and emperor buzzkill, I am pleased to proclaim that I have passed the truth and have achieved the level of knighthood. Accounting and close, please permit me to join my fellow knights and dames at the table that is round. I ask for your finest single malt scotch and choice cuts of meat for all at the round table. I humbly request to be knighted Sir Hand Shot First of the Order of Solo and the Wookiee. Oh.
Star Wars thing.
I get it. Yeah. Star Wars. It's a privilege to receive this knighthood from the guardians of reality. May your swords always be well oiled. Onward to my baronet, goat karma for all, and a random Manning. No agenda truly is the BPITU. Merry Christmas and God bless.
Yeah, God bless, Chris. Well, we'll see you at the round table. I've already ordered the single malt scotch and choice cuts of meat.
They're saying that all hell is going to break loose, and you're going to need a Bitcoin.
You've got
a classic.
Karma.
A classic, I tell you. A classic.
Ryan Glayman, $250, somewhere in Texas. ITM, gentlemen, has been a listener since around show 850. I've hit a couple people in the mouth along the way. This is my first monetary donation. I apologize. It's been taking so long. Can I get a de-douching?
You've been de-douched.
For my birthday, my smoking hot wife said I could get one of those associate executive producerships from that podcast I keep babbling on about. So a shout out to her.
Hey,
thanks,
wife. Thanks, wife.
However, my birthday was back in October, and I'm finally getting around to making the donation now, which says much more about me than it does about her. The shows lately have been outstanding. Y'all put out a fine product, but the recent shows have been particularly great. So keep up the good work. For jingles, could I get a Reverend Al and a Reverend Manning? Wow.
Yeah.
Dealer's choice on both of those, followed by some goat karma for anybody who may need it. Thanks for all the hard work you both do.
RESPICT.
And boom shakalaka, brother!
You've got karma.
Sir John Overall in Victoria, BC, prettiest little town on the West Coast, $223.33. Hi, John and Adam. In the last few weeks of the 33s have been popping up everywhere. I knew I needed to get a donation out before being down in my brother's mine, and there was a sample exploratory hole that had been drilled and marked to the depth of 333 feet, and it had been marked 3 times to ensure it was not missed. Then, while looking over a client's website for SEO work, 33 kept coming up in the stats. I finally got the hint and realized I needed to donate. I hope Christmas was good and happy for you both. This is a Boxing Day donation, the biggest shopping sale day for us Scandinavians. The donation brings me over the level of baronet, and I would like a name change from Sir John Overall Knight Runner to Baronet Sir Rogue of the Taverns. I have a great quote for you from my 10-year-old son who enjoys the show. This came out when listening to the show one Sunday and a while back, and one of you made an offhanded comment about the news and how people often believe it. He then says, people thinking the news is always right. I wish I could slap them. The news is not always right.
That kid has a future.
I have recently realized that my podcast, WP Plugins A to Z, is the longest running and best WordPress podcast on the planet, according to the Mueller report. My daughter, who has some difficult times in the past couple of months, so please give her some goat karma to help her out so things go smoother. Please play 6969 dudes, any random Sharpton, Go Podcasting, Boxing Day, and New Year Boxing Day and New Year karma for all.
69 dudes. Tonight is the measure of whether the country begins in the state of Wisconsin a national drive to push back, or whether we have more to go to build a movement of resistance. But resist we must, and we will much about that be committed.
You've got karma.
You know, I forgot that whole thing in the context of resist much.
Well, it's random. You know, people ask for random this, random that. So I give random. I just pull it out. But that is the original resist we much. You're right.
Yeah, he goes on and on. He's building a case, just like occasional times
a case
where
to
you
a
make
flub.
a big deal about some clip and then it blows up.
Yeah. So now you're comparing me to Rev Al. Thanks.
Well, you should have his income.
Well, no kidding there.
Brandon Takash, or Takash, I'm not sure.
Takash. I think it's Takash.
Could be Takash. In Chicago, 22229. Dear John and Adam, there's never been a clearer sign to donate. The momentous 1,200 episodes coincides with my 29th birthday. In typical cheap millennial fashion, this is my first donation since I first started listening in 2017. You have my consent to de-douche.
Okie dokie.
You've been de-douched.
As for my donation amount, according to hopefully likely credible AskAngels.com, 222 has something to do with manifestation, keeping in balance, and creating blessings on a huge and global scale. Your amygdala shrinking deconstruction certainly keeps us No Agenda Nation listeners balanced and sane. I couldn't ask for a better gift than all the work you do. Merry impeachment. Please play Trump jobs karma for Tulsa Putin, President Gabbard, for not only winning my heart, but also losing any chance of Democrat Party employment moving forward. And if possible, please play a so-called deep cut, no agenda jingle, something we haven't heard in years, but will make us all smile in these dark times. Sending my love to you all.
So a deep cut means I'm just going to go in there. I'm just search word jingle, the first one that pops up. I'm going to do like a Russian roulette. I'm going to scroll the wheel down. I'm going to just grab something and put it in. Here we go.
Hey, hey, ho, ho, this penis party's got to go. Hey, hey, ho, ho,
that's what you get.
This penis party's got to go. Hey, hey,
do you remember this?
Ho, ho, this penis party's
vaguely.
got to go. Hey, hey, ho, ho, this penis party's got to go.
All right.
Jobs.
Wow.
Jobs.
There's your Trump jobs karma.
You've got karma.
So what was the penis party that they were talking about?
I have no idea. I just pulled it out, and that's so to speak.
Well, now it's going to be a trend. Everyone's going to ask for a deep cut.
Yeah, exactly.
Well,
okay.
Jeff Williams in Mount Shasta, California, came in with $202.02. Night of the Five Seasons would like to grant special travel karma to Danielle Williams and Rebecca and Peter Karnowski on their voyage into the belly of the beast, Russia. For fun, let's slap them with a few jingles. We, LGY, and Goat Karma.
Yay! You've got
my goodness.
Actually, that worked out. That's funny.
I wouldn't have even thought of putting those. In fact, I would like to put those together again. That was kind of good. So you had the we, you had the little girl yay, which is known as LGY for those of you who are new. And I think if I start the goat karma a little bit earlier, that'll be even funnier. Let's see.
Yay! You've got karma.
Kind of works. Interesting combo. Interesting.
It is an interesting combo. So someone's going to Russia. That's a good, fun place. Well, fun. I don't know if that's the right word.
Sure,
but it's very interesting. It depends on where you go. If you're going this time of year, it's going to be cold.
Very cold.
Brr.
Very cold.
Texas Dragon, $200. Hey, John and Adam, here's another donation from Texas Dragon, including 33% of sales, plus a little more for the holidays.
Oh, thank you.
No Agenda listeners can get 33% off all orders made by the end of 2019 using the code No Agenda, all one word in caps. In turn, this amount will be donated to the best podcast in the universe. Check out our site, TexasDragon.com. That's Texas-Dragon for you who don't remember this. We have several new products available and look forward to releasing our Texas Dragon Baby Dragon Beef Blades.
Wow, I bet you that's spicy.
Yeah, I'll bet. Can I get an Al Sharpton jingle? Makes you all jitty. And a Merry Christmas from Texas Dragon.
Merry Christmas.
The GOP infighting is escalating. Politico says Democrats are outright jitty.
And there you go. You got your jitty. Second time. It's the random number theory today.
Oh, yeah, it's really in full play. This is the time you want to be at the crap table. Greg Nuzzo, Warrenville, Illinois, $200, or last associate executive producer, ITM, and Merry Christmas. I'd like to credit half this donation to my brother Scott towards his knighthood as part of the part of his Christmas present. Huh. So keep track, bro. But he is still a douchebag, so call him out as such. Douchebag. In brotherly love, of course. Have a great 2020 to all producers, and of course, Adam and John. For jingles, I like China is asshole. It's true. 73s. Linux dude named Craig.
Hey, Linux dude named Craig. 73s. Kilo 5 Alpha Charlie Charlie.
China is asshole.
That's true. There you go. Thank you very much for your support of the best podcast in the universe.
Yeah, that concludes our list of associate executive producers and executive producers for show 1201 and 1202. They all can put down a credit for show for the Christmas show. And
yes, now what is the official name of the Christmas show? It's the No Agenda
Christmas Special.
2019 or just the Christmas special?
Well, you can put 2019. Yeah, it's 2019.
I think that would be important to add that to it.
No Agenda.
What
Christmas.
This was a little bit longer because it's for 2 shows, and we thank all of these executive producers and associate executive producers profusely, and those who stepped it up for a new title. We have 1, 2, 3, 4. We've got 4 knightings, 1 daming coming up in our second donation segment. A great way to end the year. Great way to play it all out. Although we have another show before the end of the year, don't we? Do we have one more show or 2 more shows?
Yes, we do, on Sunday.
Okay. All right. And we'll be thanking more people, $50 and above in the second half. But again, thank you for producing what is obviously the best podcast in the universe. The Mueller report confirms it by omission. So be very proud of what you've accomplished here. And thank you again. And for those of you who would like to get in before the end of the year, just go to
Dvorak.org/NA.
You're up on all the Trump hate. You know who is going to throw the bag of shit. So propagate.
Our formula is this. We go out, we hit people in the mouth.
Order.
Shut up, slave.
All right. I want to actually pick it up where we left off. We were kind of moving into a climate change, if I'm not mistaken.
I have the final report from COP25 from Amy.
This is perfect.
In Madrid, Spain, the COP25 United Nations Climate Summit ended in failure Sunday after negotiators failed to agree to a deal that would limit global warming to 1.5 degrees Celsius or 2.7 degrees Fahrenheit above pre-industrial levels, a key goal of the Paris Agreement. Scores of civil society groups condemn governments in the European Union, Australia, Canada, and the U.S. for blocking progress at the talks. Alden Meyer, strategy chief at the Union of Concerned Scientists, said, quote, "Never have I seen the almost total disconnect we've seen here at COP25 in Madrid between what the science requires and what the climate negotiations are delivering in terms of meaningful action." Ian Fry, the climate negotiator for the Pacific Island nation of Tuvalu, whose existence is threatened by rising sea levels, called out the United States for watering down the final document, even though President Trump is withdrawing the U.S. from the Paris Agreement.
It's so disappointing. Amy was there. She followed everything. She was a part of COP25. She had her own studio set up, and she doesn't get any of the really big news. And there is.
Well, can I mention something she said that has to be commented on?
Sure.
Which is somehow, even though we weren't even taking part in this, the United States was blamed.
Yeah, well, because we didn't participate. That's how we get the blame.
We didn't call it pony up. That's what it was.
Yes, that's
pony up. Hello,
pony up. That's called participation. Well, I think she's missed a big one here. There's quite the scoop, and we'll just report on it. The Dutch government was sued by a climate change group, and they lost. And this was in the highest court of the land, and they have to achieve their 20.
Who's they?
The Dutch government has to achieve.
They lost?
They lost, yes. The Dutch government lost in the highest court of the land that they have not done what they promised to do by 2020 for climate change. They have, like 4 days, 5 days.
4 days left?
Yeah. they have to reduce emissions by an additional 25% this week.
Okay.
But I mean, this is a big deal. This is how it's all going to start running. And they're shutting shit down, John. They're like, okay, the lower speed limit, indefinitely in effect. They're going back to the farmers. The farmers are coming out and protesting again. They have lost a lawsuit, and now they are obliged to just cut wherever they can.
Hold on a second. Now, was this lawsuit based on something the Dutch government said they do and didn't do?
Yes, it was their climate
so
goals.
In other words, the only country playing it safe is the United States.
Of course.
Otherwise, you're going to get sued into oblivion.
It's going to happen everywhere.
You said you were going to cut emissions and you didn't. We're suing you.
It's going to happen not just on the country scale. I believe we'll see these lawsuits in California. Maybe elsewhere. But California, the legislature there clearly made a lot of promises what they were going to do for emissions and climate change, combating climate change. I'm telling you, this is a new thing.
So all the virtue signalers out there are subject to getting their asses sued because they didn't do crap. They just talked a big game.
Exactly.
Nice.
Meanwhile, good old Jane Fonda is still getting arrested every single Friday. I've stopped reporting on her media alerts because she's arrested every Friday. She goes out, she gets arrested. Vice magazine finally sat down with her for a quick little interview, and, well, as you can imagine, she's misguided.
Every Friday, Jane Fonda gets herself arrested on Capitol Hill.
Thank you, Jane!
As part of an ongoing climate protest with the group Fire Drill.
Well, you can call it radical. I think what's radical is not doing anything. We have to go out and make them do it, and we're just getting used to it. We're just beginning to work our muscles in the resistance sector, right?
Fonda has a long history in activism and controversy, like her infamous visit to Hanoi at the height of the Vietnam War, that she later apologized for. At 81, Fonda is still trying to change the world. We detained her briefly to ask why. Jane, thanks for joining us. You're just out of jail again. What you're out there doing is what? I mean, the message is about climate change. I mean, with you've engaged in activism for 5 decades.
Well, this is the existential issue. Yeah. Over all of the other issues. This is the looming, ticking time bomb, and we have to listen to the scientists who say we have 11 years to do what has to happen. And what has to happen is we have to stop all new fossil fuel extraction, no licensing, no permitting on public or lands or waters. And then we have to gradually phase out the existing extractions over 30 years and make sure that the workers that depend on the fossil fuel industry not only are trained for new jobs, but that those jobs are union jobs with good salaries and benefits that allow them to support a family.
The science is in. Science!
Man, existential, 11 more years. We're all going to die. 2050. And the thing is, Jane Fonda is a fossil fuel.
That's the only reason you ran that clip.
No, not at all.
You wrote that down.
No, I just read that in the troll room. I got to be honest.
You stole it from one of our writers in the troll room.
That's not stealing. Blitz did it. Karma for Blitz. He wrote it just as I'm coming out of the clip.
If I hadn't called you out on it, you wouldn't have credited him. I'm sure of it.
It would have been much slicker if you hadn't, But okay, thanks. Appreciate it. Yeah, no, poor Jane. I don't know what she's lost. We got.
She's the way I see it. If anybody takes her seriously at this point, is they're the ones that are nuts. I give her full credit for being 81 and being out there kicking. She's not sitting around knitting.
No, that's true.
Which, by the way, supposedly is the number one thing. Well, actually, there's two. Somebody pointed out there was a study done, and the number one hobby of millennials, apparently a lot of people thought was knitting, and I don't really know any of that knit, but it turns out the number one hobby is, guess what?
The number one hobby of what? Millennials or of everywhere, of all time?
Millennial women.
I don't know. Canning?
Coloring books.
Coloring books. I knew it was close to that. Coloring books. Well, the new czar of the Green Deal in the European Union, Frans Timmermans, who I'm very excited about him being part of this. Yes, he's my buddy, and I'm going to try and get an interview with him in the new year because he's a sales guy. Brown shoes, sells it. He'll sell anything. He doesn't give a shit. And he'll do a really good job. And what he wants is $250 billion every year from the 26 European member states. Everybody chip in. It's just $10 billion each. It's not that big a deal. He wrote a love letter to Britain regarding Brexit, and it was published in Guardian. And it's written as an op-ed, but it's my love letter to Britain. Family ties can never really be severed. And he goes in this whole thing about how he will miss the UK so much, and it was kind of an adopted second country for him, and he went to school in British schools, and you've decided to leave. It breaks my heart, but I respect that decision. You were in two minds about it, like you have always been in two minds about the EU. I wish you had stuck to that attitude. It served you well, and it kept us all in better shape. Was it necessary to force the issue? Not at all, but you did. And the sad thing is, I see it is hurting you, because the two minds will still be there even after you've left. In the process, so much unnecessary damage has been done to you and all of us, and I fear more will follow. Truth be told, I felt deeply hurt when you decided to leave. 3 years later, I am just sad that a member of our family wants to sever our ties. But at the same time, I find comfort in the thought that family ties can never really be severed. We're not going away, and you, yes you, Britain, will always be welcome to come back to us.
Bah. That last part is bogus.
Of course it is. Well, we'll see if they actually leave. I'm still not convinced. What's the latest?
Well, the latest is they're leaving. They're battening the hatches, as it were, getting ready to do it. But as we have shown time and time again on this show in particular, it always comes down to, well, let's give 2 more months. Let's give another month. Let's give another 6 months. We'll do it in 3 months. We'll just put it off. It's not, what's it hurt now? Look, we've been putting it off this long. What does another 6 months matter?
What I find interesting is the general narrative in the UK is that the media did this. The media made this happen. The media branded Corbyn as an anti-Semite, and I find this odd because the media was nothing but against Johnson. They called him a buffoon, floppy hair guy, and pretty much the way Trump was run. Am I mistaken in this coverage? Have I not?
No, you're absolutely correct.
So now, and I just pulled one quote because it's Roger Waters, Pink Floyd. He's got a big mouth. He's always talking a big game. But just listen to how he explains this away.
The powers that may have achieved such an incredibly efficient hatchet job on the poor man over the last few years, but particularly over the last year, that the chances of him ever doing anything really are extremely slim, because he has been smeared beyond all belief. It's becoming more and more apparent that propaganda is almost the most important thing in our lives, and the fact that the mainstream media is owned by very rich and powerful people. And in consequence, it may be that they're coming closer and closer to controlling everything, not just all the elections, but everything. And obviously the elections they can't control. They send in the troops, and start killing people. What's interesting to me is that here we are, 500 years since Columbus. And just now, this is the only thing that makes me, that gives me the strength to carry on in this fight. And it is this: 500 years later, it seems that we, the people, are just beginning to rise up now against the settler colonial attitudes of the last 500 years. And that gives me heart.
So it gets him hard, which is interesting.
Jeez.
But it's confusing because, yes, there is clearly an uprising, but
populism.
Yes, exactly. That's what's happening. But somehow he sees that differently. Is he just? Well, it seems very odd. But this is the way a lot of people are seeing this.
The guy's a multi-billionaire.
I don't know if he's that
doesn't
rich.
mix with.
I don't know if Roger Waters is a billionaire, but okay.
Yeah, I would be surprised if he wasn't after their whole.
Well, it depends.
Money-making schemes, including running Lloyd's of London to the point it was called Floyd's of London. They were making a fortune.
I didn't know this. What are you talking about? I don't know any of this.
You didn't hear of Floyd's of London?
As in Pink Floyd's of London?
Yeah.
No. What's the story?
They ended up owning most of Lloyd's of London at one point.
Pink
and then, of course,
Floyd?
It tanked, yeah.
I thought that this was all like old peerage money and people who had to put up their castles.
Well, these guys were making lots of money in their heyday, and they were continuing to make it.
So how did they wind up owning it?
I don't know what the story is. This is some time ago. This is before the company went bankrupt. I mean, it's possible that their ownership or their part ownership of the company, they were investing in a lot of insurance deals because Floyd's of London isn't really an insurance company. It's kind of an insurer investors come. It's not like a venture capital company.
Mm-hmm.
They put packages together. There's a way venture capitalists put funds together, and they bring in all these outsiders, and they put all the money into the fund, and then the fund does the insuring.
Right.
And apparently Pink Floyd was big ownership of a lot of these funds, and to the point where it was called Floyd's of London.
Oh crap! I got to look into that. This is trivia I should have known. I feel inadequate.
Well, I thought you'd know because of the pun. Floyd's of London.
I had never heard of this. No.
Huh.
What I did hear about from multiple producers is something that happened on the Patriot Awards this past week. I didn't realize there was a category, but the Patriot Awards, I think, is on the Fox Nation app or whatever Fox Nation. It's Fox. Not
I never heard about it before this story either.
Yeah, it's not a real TV channel. So they had an award for, I guess, Patriot of whatever. And everyone that emailed me about this said, Brian Kilmeade said in the morning he threw out an ITM. I'm like, yeah, okay. So
yeah, I heard that too. Did anyone get a clip?
Yeah, so here's the ISO.
In the morning.
Which I'm like, the guy is on in the morning. It's like, this is not, it's like, how many people.
You have to have it in context. You just can't throw
Right.
I can clip out in the morning every so often. Yeah, I worked there. When you worked, I was working there. I was in the morning, and there was blah, blah, blah. And yeah, this doesn't mean what he was dropping in the morning.
Listen to it in context, and you might think differently.
Hey, everyone.
Good morning.
Good to see you.
By the way, we've been up a while. We all had to shave to get ready for this. We've been up since 2:30 in the morning. Not you.
Right, including me.
Yeah, not you. All right. So I'm going to do something we rarely do. I'm going to go back to the prompter in the morning. Hey, some common qualities shared amongst many patriots.
What was that? What? I'm going to go back to the prompter in the morning. Come on.
Okay. Well, in context, it does sound like he dropped the in the morning bomb.
Yeah. All right. So I'm going to do something we rarely do. I'm going to go back to the prompter in the morning. Hey, some common qualities shared among
was in the morning on the prompter. Was that why he picked it up there? Maybe.
No, I don't think so.
It's interesting though, isn't it? Well, in the morning to you, Brian Kilmeade.
So what is Brian Kilmeade? Let's talk. Who is this? Who is this guy?
He's I think he does the Fox Morning News, Fox and Friends.
Huh.
And apparently he's a gigantic patriot.
Well, he's a patriot if he listens to the No Agenda show.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Well, that's interesting. Well, he'll get in touch with us if he is if he actually dropped that bomb, because he'll be listening to the show and he'll say, "Okay, yeah, you got me."
Maybe,
or maybe not.
I don't know. I tell you, why don't we do? We haven't done one of these for a while. Oh, we're gonna do the heavy metal version.
See the Vorak Baker like pride. Today's Teddy K, he's an OTG kind of guy.
I got to get those straight. Yeah, he's an OTG kind of guy. Well, that's not the jingle I wanted. What's the OTG jingle? Can never find that one offhand. I do have a couple of off-the-grid stories to talk about. The first one, you may have seen news reports over the past few days, over Christmas, about 23andMe and other very popular DNA ancestry heritage testing kits, which I have never done. I will never do it. I think we've been kind of smart. Yeah, you haven't done this either, have you? I'm sure you haven't done this.
Nah.
Because what do you hear? It's like, well, they're going to use it for this, and then somehow your DNA got away, and now the cops, they can issue warrants, and they can get your DNA, and so it's just not a good idea to participate in this. I think we've been against this from day one. And they're not even that accurate, and apparently the military is not allowed to do it at all.
A stern warning tonight from the defense secretary. Even though the companies are targeting military members with discounts and other incentives, stay away from these DNA kits because they could be putting you and the country at risk.
Woo! A growing number of companies like 23andMe and Ancestry sell these kits that can profile consumers' DNA just by analyzing their saliva. They are hugely popular but pose a risk for military members. The Defense Department saying the kits are not FDA approved and cannot be fully trusted. The Defense Secretary sent a warning letter to military members about these kits, saying there is growing concern that the companies are using the data for questionable purposes, including mass surveillance and the ability to track individuals without their authorization or awareness.
So are these DNA kits bad for everyone? Absolutely not. But the DoD says they do pose more risk to soldiers because soldiers must follow specific guidelines when disclosing medical information.
So
that's a piece of bad publicity for these two operations.
Yeah, the Pentagon does not like him doing it at all. So what else is going on?
No government cut.
Yeah, well, that's possible. So just more fodder for the don't give up your DNA. It's not all that cute. The Washington Post ran a long piece on this outfit called Spotter EDU, SPOTTER-EDU. You can find them at spotteredu.com. And what they're doing is they're rolling out tracking networks all across campuses in the United States with Bluetooth beacons, Wi-Fi networks, and they are tracking attendance. Not just if students are in the classroom at the right time, even if they're 2 minutes late, that'll flag them. They track the path to see if students who should be at study hall or in the library are in there long enough, where they go before, where they go afterwards. It connects into any university's student portfolio software. And yeah, exactly.
First of all, before you can continue in a second, any university that requires student attendance rigidly, like a high school does, because they get state funds, so the student has to show up, so they get a certain amount of money from the state, is a rinky-dink school. It's just a rinky-dink school. There's no reason to, like a lecture hall or something. You show up when you want to show up. You got to take the test. It's the test that tell you whether you did a good job or you paid any attention or you read the right books. You don't show up to these classes rigidly. There's no. I will say I have been to visited some schools where they do ring bells like idiots, but there's no. Normal schools or normal good universities don't have that sort of structure. They don't have bells. You have to be there on time. And, you're tardy. There's none of that. It's bull crap.
Well, this company...
Unless you're at a rinky-dink school.
The company, Spotter EDU, was set up by Rick Carter, former college basketball coach. And it now works in 40 schools, including universities such as Auburn, Central Florida, Columbia, Indiana, and Missouri, as well as several smaller colleges and a public high school. More than 1.5 million student check-ins have been logged this year nationwide, including in graduate seminars and chapel services. Spotter EDU uses Bluetooth beacons, roughly the size of a deck of cards, to signal to a student's smartphone once a student steps within range. Installers stick them on walls and ceilings. The less visible, Carter said, the better. School officials give Spotter EDU the students' full schedules. The system can email a professor or advisor automatically if a student skips class or walks in more than 2 minutes late. The app records a full timeline of students present so advisors can see whether they left early or stepped out for a break. It just goes on and on and on. It's a Chicago company. It's also gamifying student schedules with colorful Bitmoji or digital multi-day streaks.
Oh, this is like your little complaint about the...
about the Slackify and with
Slackify
emojis.
With that one ad in that adds stars and stuff, as though everyone's a 10-year-old. I mean, please.
But wait.
This is the problem that's going on. These kids they're raised by helicopter parents, and by the time they get to school, they have to be monitored, or they're, I don't know, play hooky. I have no idea. I mean, you either go to school or you don't. When I was a kid at Cal, you'd have these big they have these lecture auditoriums, and you'd go listen to somebody who was actually famous give a speech, and you didn't have to even go to it. You could just go by. There was a company called Phobias, and there was a note-taking company that would, if you say you didn't want to go to that class that day, you didn't want to listen to the lecture about, something. And so you'd go by the Phobias notes. They cost $1 or $2, and you go to this note company, and they give you a professional note taker would go into the major classes and take professional level notes that you would never take, and you just buy the notes from them. And now you might as well have the lecture notes. You get the lecture notes for a fee, and you're in business. This is the way it should be, not what they're doing here, making it into a slave state.
Carter, CEO, said the real value may be for school officials who can split students into groups such as students of color or out-of-state students for further review. When asked why an official would want to segregate out data on students of color, Carter said many colleges already do so, looking for patterns in academic retention and performance, adding that it can, quote, provide important data for retention. Even the first few months of recorded data on class attendance and performance can help predict how likely a group of students is to stay enrolled. Students' attendance and tardiness are scored into a point system that some professors use for grading, and schools can use the data to take action against truant students, such as grabbing back scholarship funds. This is slave training to the max. And I would suggest you don't take a phone to school. Sorry, don't have one, can't track me.
Yeah, so this requires you have one of these phones that the tracker triggers. Yeah, don't take a phone. Just don't use a phone. It's against my religion.
Yeah. Pastafarian religion. Well, it's a very in-depth profile. And
that's disgusting.
I mean, to me, yes, it is. To me, this is it's un-American. It's like Chinese. It's like you're getting them used to a score. We'll make you feel good with the Bitmoji. Then if it's not, and if it's not,
I'm just saying, it's just totally gross. And it's exactly like the Chinese social score. It's just a lead-in. It's a lead-in.
It is. It's a primer, just getting you ready for the real world. By the time you're out, we'll have it everywhere. In fact, such as California, we talked about the smart city sidewalk, the smart street lights. A great piece that came in. I think it was a local news piece. I think it's San Diego. They installed the smart streetlights, which initially was, it's going to be LEDs and it'll be better to see. And then it turned out they put some cameras in there. And now just listen to how far we've gotten since these original smart streetlights were implemented and what the tracking is today.
Police are calling them a game changer, but critics are saying it takes police surveillance too far. 3 years ago, the city of San Diego approved installing smart streetlights throughout the city. Initially described as a cost savings plan to replace old lights with energy-efficient LED lights, it was later revealed that the lights would include data-gathering technology, including cameras. Officials described it as the world's largest smart city sensor platform. Around 3,000 of the lights are spread throughout the city, gathering information about traffic, parking, and environmental conditions. Police say the lights are also a powerful aid in solving crime, capturing videos of crimes in action and the suspects. Officers say they use the cameras very sparingly, only for the worst types of cases or serious or fatal collisions.
Really noticed the big differences in some of the fatal car accidents, serious accidents, where we can definitively show, who ran that red light, who was responsible for the collision, and then hold them accountable.
In the case of a recent hit and run, police were able to use smart light footage to see the vehicle pull into a nearby gas station. After releasing surveillance footage of the vehicle and the suspect, they were able to identify him. Police say there's no live monitoring of the footage captured by the cameras, saying the footage disappears after 5 days if not retrieved. Critics, however, argue greater public safety shouldn't come with less privacy. Some are saying the cameras intrude into private life, saying there's a lack of oversight and possible data security issues. Groups are pushing back against the lights, calling for ordinances that include policies for oversight and public discourse, saying the police shouldn't be the ones policing themselves. A watchdog group recently filed a suit in the city for not releasing data collected through the lights, saying the city illegally failed to disclose public records requested by the group. The group filed several requests asking for source data for all smart lights over a 24-hour period. Police say the public has no access to the footage captured by the cameras, but has turned over the data to outside entities, including Harbor Police, the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives, and the FBI.
What kind of country are we living in? This is insane.
This is terrible.
Yeah.
It's one story after another.
It's coming to your town. And people are just, oh, okay. Just as they're disengaged from impeachment, this is the only thing people kind of care about is, hey, man, I got to get Ring doorbell so that I can see if my kids come home too late or if there's a porch pirate. Oh, that's really cool. And then those get hacked, which, by the way, Ring is now admitting that, I think 3,600 accounts may have been compromised by a partner.
Well, the porch pirate thing's another issue. I mean, and I would say this, and this has to do with the district attorneys around the country that have been planted by the liberals, the Soros groups. They put these people in that will not prosecute anything, and so the police are just stuck. They can't do anything. We have the glitter bomb guy, one of these famous YouTuber who's in his second season. Has got a new glitter bomb he sets up, and he blows up glitter, and then he has an announcement that comes through, and they throw the thing away because he's got a bunch of phones in it. And he started doing this, and people can look up glitter bomb YouTube.
Well, I just need to say something about this. I mentioned this briefly on the previous show. His new glitter bomb, I didn't find it as good as the original, and it's also completely sponsored by Bose. So it's a little irritating now.
Okay.
The whole box and everything is Bose.
That's not my point is whether it's good or not. I'm reviewing him. I'm reviewing what got him started, which I believe he was sincere in, that he had a Ring doorbell or something, and he had captured somebody stealing a package from him 2-3 years ago, and he went to the police with it, and they said, we can't do anything about it. They didn't even try.
No.
To capture the person that did this. And this harkens back to early days of some computer hacking, where I remember the story. This was at least a decade ago, where some guy was hacked, and he had some nerdy kid in Minnesota had been harassing him, and his computer, he cracked it somehow. He was in the machine and making his life miserable. And he tracked the kid down, found out who he was, turned it over to the FBI, and the FBI didn't do anything about it, despite the fact that it was a computer crime. So there is selective enforcement going on in this country, which is as much of a problem as anything else as crime itself. Selective enforcement. And so the glitter bomb guy was irked by the fact that the cops didn't even care about this. They could get somebody dead to rights, and they wouldn't do anything. He has them on tape. Here he is stealing my stuff. You can't do anything.
No.
Very disturbing.
Yeah, it's that $950 rule that's being implemented everywhere.
Yeah,
it's exactly what's going on. People, it's a crime of need. Okay, well, it's
nobody needs to steal my unopened package. They don't even know what it is. Why would they need it?
No, well, that's you're right. This is the district attorneys, and lovingly we call them the Soros sisters. As George Soros has poured a lot of money into these district attorney races, particularly for women, particularly for black women. Kamala Harris, one of them, and the one in Chicago. I mean, it's and why? I mean, what is the point? How can this be good?
That's the point. It's not good. Soros is a bad guy.
Yeah, I'm OTG. You can't find me. Yes, I'm OTG. You can't find me. Yeah, I'm OTG. No eyes on me.
Yes, from the OTG, we move to yet another no agenda favorite, which is the pipelines. I have a little, it's a little pipeline update. Now, you know, President Trump, of course, is a puppet of Putin and does anything he can to remove sanctions. An agent, yes, he's a Russian agent. He does everything he can to remove sanctions, to make it as easy as possible for Russia to do anything they want to do. Obviously, we all understand this, except when it comes to the Nord Stream 2. And the Nord Stream 2 pipeline is a very important pipeline that will eventually come into Europe. There's, interestingly enough, it's Norway that still has to sign off on a major piece to ratify it because it's running offshore. And it's a gas pipeline from Russia, and it goes into Europe. I think it drops into Germany. It won't be the first one. There is the Nord Stream 1. And it's a fine collaboration with Shell. I think Exxon is in there. BP is in there. And, of course, Gazprom owns the majority of it. But interestingly, in the most recently signed NDAA, the National Defense Authorization Act, there is a very strict set of sanctions against any company or country that participates in helping Russia with the Nord Stream 2 pipeline. In fact, Ted Cruz made a promo video about it.
Nord Stream 2 pipeline is owned by Russian energy concern Gazprom. The gas it carries is also Gazprom's. The pipeline is almost ready. The plan is for the 1,200-kilometer-long pipeline to transport an additional 55 billion cubic meters of Russian gas directly to Germany.
This project will make Germany and Europe in general more dependent on Russian gas.
Nord Stream 2, if completed, would help Russia strengthen Putin. It would generate billions of dollars that could be used to fuel Russian aggression. Our window for getting this done is rapidly shrinking. The current projections are the pipeline will be completed by January, which means we have maybe 2 months to get this done, and if we fail to get it done, we will have vastly strengthened Putin's hands at the expense of the rest of the free world. I introduced bipartisan legislation to stop Nord Stream 2. The Senate Foreign Relations Committee passed it with overwhelming bipartisan support by a vote of 20-2. Time is running out for the United States to act.
Scary music, Ted Cruz. Woo! So Nord Stream 2, the sanctions were put in, the NDAA is passed, and here's Deutsche Welle from Germany explaining what that means to the United States, to our energy initiatives, and to Europe, Germany, and, of course, Russia.
And for some more analysis now, I'm joined by Claudia Kempfert, energy expert at the German Institute for Economic Research. Good to have you with us. So please tell us, how serious are these sanctions? How will they impact the project?
Well, these sanctions are serious, but the impact, it depends when the sanctions really come, because if the president signed it, it might be beginning of next year, so that the project might be already finished. So I don't think the project is stopped now. It might be a little bit postponed, but it's a signal. And I think this kind of signal the U.S. president wants to give to Germany and to Europe.
And what is the signal? What is he trying to tell us?
Yeah, he's trying to tell us that he wants to sell his fracking gas to Europe and to Germany. It's simply like that. It's a fossil fuel war where we are in between right now. And we show the president of the United States shows it the world on different kind of angles in Arabia, but now also in Europe and in Germany. And I mean, the pipeline has some criticism because it's very expensive. We don't need it because the gas demand will decline. But nevertheless, the U.S. sanctions are simply because they want to sell their fracking gas to Germany.
So the much quoted political motivation is not the main driver here, you say?
It's also political, but it's mainly economic driver because the U.S. wants to frack their gas. It's very expensive. They want to get new demand for it, and that's coming from Europe because it's so expensive. But on the other hand, of course, in Europe, we have just signed this Green Deal. That means that the emissions will go down and the demand for fossil gas will decline in the future, so that we don't need more pipelines like this. We need more flexibility, more LNG terminals. But nevertheless, the U.S. is right in criticism, but they simply want to sell their fracking gas.
Yeah, as an agent of Putin, well done. You won't hear this reported anywhere, and this is actually what matters. This is something. Poland's a part of Trump's energy initiatives. They're going to take liquid natural gas from us, which we're shipping over. Anything to block Russia from selling their gas into Europe. Europe is the customer. Russia has been the supplier. We're all over this. Yet somehow, I don't know. I guess.
Well, it's like, we don't hear anything like this. Well, I have a report that actually has an element of the pipeline problem.
Mm-hmm.
And this is something you don't know anything about, which is what's going on in Libya.
Oh, yeah, Turkey's doing some shit now with Libya, I think.
Well, this is the best report I could find, and the only way I could find it was really going off the grid to Al Jazeera.
Oh, yeah.
To find somebody who, and then you find the weird bedfellows in this report, which come out at the end, and it becomes incredibly weird. No, I said weird again, but it becomes bizarre.
Well, Turkey and the GNA signed security agreements last month. Under those deals, Ankara agreed to give training and equipment to the Libyan military and supply a quick reaction force if Tripoli asks for it. A separate agreement on maritime boundaries was also signed, and that's angered Greece and raised concerns among several Mediterranean countries. Tensions had already been running high between Athens and Ankara over drilling for natural gas off the coast of the divided island of Cyprus. Greece says the accord violates international law. Turkey rejects that accusation, saying it's protecting its rights in the eastern Mediterranean. Now, Libya's warring sides are backed by different countries which provide them with military supplies despite a UN arms embargo. The United Nations recognized government led by Prime Minister Fayez al-Sarraj is backed by most Western nations as well as Qatar and Turkey. The Government of National Accord, or GNA, as we've mentioned, is based in the capital, Tripoli, that's in the west. Now, in the east of Libya, the parliament based in Tobruk is Khalifa Haftar's center of power. He's supported by Egypt, Saudi Arabia, the United Arab Emirates, and France. He gets military equipment from different sides. Russian private security forces from the Wagner Group have allegedly been fighting alongside Haftar's forces.
Wow. I mean, I read some of this morning about Turkey's involvement in Libya. What is going on? I mean, what is the play here?
Well, when you look at the map, they show the two sides, the western side, which is the Tripoli and the recognized government, and then the eastern side, which has got strange bedfellows of France, Russia, Saudi Arabia, and half the other Emirates.
Right.
Meanwhile, Qatar is over on the Tripoli side, and so these sides are lined up. And if you dig deeper, it turns out they all have something to do with natural gas, pipelines, oil. Who knows? But it's ludicrous what's happening, and all this with the background. Meanwhile, all we hear about is global warming, and we got to do this, we got to do that. And we're talking about billions and billions of dollars of more natural gas and more, fossil fuels going into the economies of. If you look outside the window or just look around your house, we are fossil fuel societies. We're fossil fuel civilizations. The paint, the gas in the stove, the electricity, everything comes from fossil fuels.
Anything plastics.
And so you have this action going on all over the world that is kind of in denial of. Well, it's not in denial.
So wait,
we're in denial.
So are they rolling a pipeline from Libya to Turkey? That would make a lot of sense.
there's pipelines involved. There's also drilling involved, and there's also Cyprus involved,
and that's why
Greece is involved. I mean, this
yes,
is ridiculous. You got Gazprom involved and Total involved. You got Shell involved. You got Qatar and their gas company.
Meanwhile, what does the news report on Greta? I mean, there's real shit going on here.
How dumb are people to not be paying attention to the real stories, and they're just following the 16-year-old and impeachment? That seems to be all we have in the United States for stories.
I'm going to show my support by donating to No Agenda. Imagine all the people who could do that. Oh yeah, that'd be fab.
Yeah, on No Agenda in the morning.
Now, we do have a few people to thank for show 1121 and 1122.
What? No. Whoa. 1201.
1201.
1202.
That's what I said.
Okay. Not even close, but all right.
I'm only off by 100.
Yeah, what's your problem?
Well, we lost a bit. We were off a couple of hundred on our chat room. It's just reflective.
Mm-hmm.
Starting with Ian Field in the UK, $100 at the top of the list. Robert Smiley, Sir Robert of Sous Vide in Holland, Pennsylvania, 8008.
And he has a birthday shout out for his wife, Debbie, and she will be on the list.
Chris
Deister,
I think. Deister in Brookline, Massachusetts.
Yeah.
That's 75.
But that's for his hot wife, Dr. 3D of Brookline.
Dr. 3D.
Send pictures.
Especially the 3D part.
Yeah.
Gary Blatt, 66.60. Surveillance, 62. Sir Baron, White Knight of the Rainbow Nation, 6125.
That's Sir Brian, and he wishes himself a happy birthday on the list.
Yeah, Sir Brian. He used to be a contributor to the show with reports, if I'm not mistaken. Michael Roberts in Milwaukee, Oregon. Really? That's funny. I've been all in and out of Oregon. I never knew there was a Milwaukee, Oregon. $60. Harry Van Rijn in Nordvik, is ZH, which is
Zuid-Holland, the south of Holland.
Wait
a minute, let me read this. Yes, John, he says, I was a big fan of the Curry and Van Inkel show. Oh, check. Adam is a radio cult hero in the Netherlands.
Yeah, I know that.
Yeah, equals poverty. I lost track of Adam until this summer when I was attending a surf legend reunion in Noordwijk in the Netherlands. I met Sir Eric, the Nithrone Knight. He told me about the No Agenda show. Since then, I've never missed a show. I don't need a de-douching because surfers are no douchebags by nature. I'm still confused when I hear Nancy Pelosi for jobs karma. All the time I hear tax, tax, tax. Let's go for more tax. Harry van Rijn, Palm Beach, his snowbird location. Thanks, Harry. Welcome to the No Agenda family. Good to have you here. Appreciate it.
Yeah, it's fun. Stas Gomberg, 5510, double nickels on the dime. Sir Euchre, Monroe, North Carolina, 5510. Axel Paul,
yeah, sounds right.
55. Sir Phenom in Appleton, Wisconsin. Axel Paul's 55. Sir Phenom's 5333. T. Tarson, 5150 in Clovis, New Mexico. Forrest Martin, 5005 or 5005. And then Lauren Jackson in Londonderry, New Hampshire, 5001. The following, by the way, this is a short list. It's pretty much this show, and this is for 2 shows. This is a short list for 2 shows, especially, which represents coal in our sock. We got a lump of coal for Christmas.
Lump of coal, like a tangerine in the toe.
We got a lump of coal. Joe, these are $50 donors, name and location. Joe Winky.
Yeah, Jumbo Joe, always there to help.
Jambo Joe, our best guy. He's a knight, Sir Jambo Joe. Sir Patrick Maycomb in New York City. Black Knight, Sir Lineman of the Net Raleigh Hawk in Anna, Illinois. Alexa Delgado in Aptos, California. Thomas Toliet in Shawnee, Oklahoma. Robert Soren in I guess, in Nunheim, Netherlands. Robert.
Wait. Robert also said he needs to be de-douched badly because I listened too long without contributing to the show. The shame is killing me.
You've been de-douched.
All right, Robert. That's Robert Sauren in Nunheim.
Robert Sauren in Nunheim. 50. Robert Case in Mill Spring, North Carolina. Andy. I don't know. Is it Nauli, and Nauli? Nauli. Robert Daniel LeBoy. It was a knight, I believe. Sir Daniel. Julian Robbins in Aptos, California. Simon Elisha. Will in Elsterwick, Victoria, Australia. Will West in Peoria, Arizona. Oh, strange towns in the wrong states. Mitchell Kaufman in Hillsboro, Oregon. That's correct. Jesus Allen in Austin, Texas. Megan Carlotta Purdy in Galloway, Ohio. And that's it. That's our list. I will mention that I did not get the mail for today's show, so there's probably a few checks missing, which will come up on Sunday because the post office closed before I got there on way.
Oh, I hate it when that happens.
So I went there and they were, sorry, sucker, and they closed the door and they gave me they didn't give me the finger, but I like the image of it.
Megan Carlotta Purdy says in her note, by the way, this is a Christmas gift from my dad who loves the podcast. I do too. Could you please mention his name? Rick Carlotta would be grateful. Thank you very much. I went to the P.O. box and I did pick up, I was on time. And I just wanted to mention a few items that I appreciated. P.O. Box 18209, Austin, Texas, 78760. From Sir Woody of the Falls. You know those tags, the red tags that says remove before flight? And it's typically on an aircraft. It's on a pitot tube. You've seen them. And people have them as tags on their baggage or their backpack as a joke. You know, remove before flight. Have you seen them? No?
No.
Well, for those who know what I'm talking about, he gave me a bag filled of exactly the same, only instead of remove before flight, it says remove before pew pew. I thought that was a nice gift, a pew pew gift. Got my Century City copy. That was indeed our 12th anniversary write-up was in the paper version. That was nice. That was nice to get that.
Yeah.
Who sent that to us? Our producer.
Very good piece.
Who did that for us. Then I have what is this? Thank you, Chris Engler, for the beautiful card. The Keeper and I got two beautiful books. Extreme Privacy, What It Takes to Disappear in America, which was given to us by Sir Timothy of No Fixed Title. And he also gave us the book Generation X, a groundbreaking novel, which he said actually helped him quite a bit in figuring out what was going on in his life, him being a Gen Xer. And then did you get the United Federation of Podcasters stationery?
No, I did not.
Oh, my goodness. JD, Any Mouse from Mach Zero, made United Federation of Podcasters letterhead. Beautiful paper. And you have to see it to believe it because it really puts podcasters in the standing where they belong. Behind the cop, kicking someone out of the way, and two obvious hookers who are on each arm of the podcaster. So
nice.
That's what I thought. Yeah, I'll send you a note with it, John. I'll get that to you as soon as possible. Had a couple of extraneous things we needed. Got a note from Chris McGinn, one of the four horsemen of the Worcester, Massachusetts meetup. Merry Christmas, Adam and John. In the last episode, you read a note from an educator who made a point to tell you he was going to stop donating $5 a month. I'm a dude named Ben for a school district who also donates $5 monthly. I'm not a teacher, only a mere sysadmin. As a tech in education, I can tell you that teachers who teach tech are some of the most untech-savvy people you'll ever meet. All book smarts and no real-world technical knowledge. They are first to call when something breaks or the network hiccups, having done no preliminary troubleshooting and expecting it to be fixed yesterday. I write all this not to talk smack, but instead to say I will be upping my monthly donation to $10 a month in order to make up for his overboard educator with an axe to grind. Plus, I really want to reach knighthood before your exit strategy kicks into high gear. Well, no worries there, my friend. You'll be Grand Duke.
I'm reminded of one of these educators. I was giving a talk somewhere, a speech or a keynote or something. But meanwhile, there are all these little, there's smaller speeches being given here and there. You've been to these events, conventions, and there's, and there's the smaller events. Sometimes some are popular, some aren't. I went to listen to one guy who was this educator going on. He makes the comment. He says, and then the great display technologies, LCD, which means light emitting diode.
Mm-hmm.
And so afterwards, I went up to him and said, you should note that your LCD means liquid crystal display.
Yes,
LED is light emitting diode.
Exactly.
And he says, hey, don't tell me what I'm doing. Douchebag. That's what he says to me.
Yeah, that's great. Well, not all educators are douchebags, obviously, but from time to time we get one that sticks out. And we appreciate being stuck up for by our dude named Ben there. But we do have a lot of great educators who are doing phenomenal work, and we appreciate that. We know that they get ideas from this show to teach their kids. Corrupting an entire generation. I'm so
That's
proud.
what we're trying to do.
So proud. Then a note from Jason, the protector of the big house. I'm writing as a longtime night and weekly producer. I was laid off from my job last week. Yes, the company I work for that always claims that as a mutual insurance company, it isn't for the profits. Laid off a bunch of people the week before Christmas. What a bunch of douchebags. He would like some jobs karma for the protector of the big house, and of course we'll do that for him.
Jobs, and jobs. Let's vote for jobs.
You've got karma.
And I would like to thank everyone who supported the show today. Also, those under $50, the work you do as producers is incredibly appreciated. It is those $5 a month, $10 a month. It's other programs that you're on that make a sustaining base. It helps a lot, and it's really appreciated. I want you to know that. We don't mention those for brevity of the program, but also a lot of people like to remain anonymous. But if you'd like to support us in that manner or any other way for our upcoming show, the last one of the year, just go to our donation website. All the kids love the jingle.
Dvorak.org/NA.
It's your birthday. On No Agenda.
As it is the 26th of December, 2019, here's our birthday list. Sir Brian turned 61 yesterday. Sir Chris of Carmel by the Sea says happy birthday to his wife, Kristen. She's her 29th on Christmas Eve. Sir Robert of Sous Vide says happy birthday to his wife, Debbie. She celebrated on Christmas Day. Sir Brian, White Knight in the Rainbow Nation. It was his birthday. And finally, on December 19th, belated happy birthday to Lauren Jackson. Happy birthday from everybody here at the best podcast in the universe.
Title changes, turn and face the slaves. Title changes, don't want to be a douchebag.
Sir John, overall Night Runner, has a title change thanks to another $1,000 of support to the No Agenda show, and he now becomes Baronet Sir Rogue of the Taverns with a real title change there. And congratulations on that. And why don't you hang around, Sir John? Because we're going to induct a number of people into the round table of the No Agenda Knights and Dames. We've got one Dame, 4 Knights. Let's get the blades first.
Here's mine.
I almost hurt myself on that one. Thank you. Up on the podium, please. Michael Snyder, George Wuchet, Master Emmett, Kristen, and Chris Kincaid. That's right, all of you have supported the No Agenda show in the amount of $1,000 or more, and I'm very proud to hereby pronounce-ticate thee with the following titles. Sir Michael Snyder of the Mid-Ohio Valley, Sir Labrat of Texas Hill Country, Sir Emmett the Cute One, Dame Kristen of Carmel by the Sea, and Sir Handshot First Order of the Solo and the Wookiee. For you, we've got Hookers and Blow, Ruined Boys and Chardonnay, finest single malt scotch and choice cuts of meat, Pog and Poi, Harlots and Haldol, Geishas and Sake, Bong Hits and Bourbons, ginger ale and gerbils, and of course mutton and mead. We have it all here at the round table. All you need to do now to complete the entire process is go to noagendanation.com/rings. Eric the Shill will welcome your information such as size of your finger, where you can send it to, and you'll get your official Signet Knight or Dame ring, which is usable with the sealing wax, which is included, and, of course, the beautiful certificate signed by both John and myself. And thank all of you for becoming Knights and a Dame of the No Agenda Roundtable, ultimate producers, and recognized as such.
No Agenda Meetup.
It's like a party. It's the No Agenda Outreach Program where people get together for some non-triggering, good old-fashioned fun, meet children from other lands who you never think of talking to, except in the setting of No Agenda, because we're all different, but we all have something in common. We have very healthy-sized amygdalas. There's no triggering going on, and we like to hang out and just chat. And we do it around the world. Here's what's happening this Saturday. We have the Coffins Christmas in Orlando. That'll be at 8 o'clock. Christian Coffins organizing. Go to noagendameetups.com to find out exactly where that's going to be. The Gitmo Nation Lowlands Utrecht meetup, also this coming Saturday, 6 o'clock, the fourth trajectum. We return to Florin in the center of the medieval city. Lots to do. And again, for more information, go see what Sir Hendrik has put up at noagendameetups.com. We have one scheduled for the 3rd of January in Amsterdam, the 9th of January in Beirut, Lebanon, continuing into the new year, the 17th of January, Charlotte, North Carolina, New York City on the 18th, Nashville on the 18th. The 19th will be a meetup in Los Angeles. The 25th, Moscow, Russia. Gotta be fun to go to that one. And East Westminster, Massachusetts, also on the 21st of January. Dates, etc. can change. We'll have more added as they come along. Go to noagendameetups.com to find out where you can attend a meetup near you. And if there isn't one, well, for God's sake, man or woman, go and create one. That's what it's all about. noagendameetups.com. Okay.
Good wrap.
Well, you kind of threw down a challenge to me.
I did?
Yeah, I was talking about Space Force and
Space Force.
Wireless wireless power.
Wireless power.
and you immediately just poo-pooed it and played an Alex Jones clip, which kind of pissed me off. For a few days, I'm like, what?
Really?
That
was a great clip.
Yeah, but it was misplaced where I'm doing my Space Force power from space, and then you took it away from me. So I'd like to introduce you to Techzon. Techzon is a company that will not be providing wireless power from space, but they will be providing wireless power.
Is this that outfit down in Texas that's got that big antenna?
No.
The giant thing you drive by it on the freeway?
That is a different company. They basically built the Tesla Tower. If you drive by it, it looks just like Tesla's tower that was out on Long Island.
Your hair stands on end when you go by?
No, it doesn't. I've been there. No, it does not. It's a similar. Well, they claim to be using the similar technique. I don't know much about that company other than it's a very quiet black box. This one was actually at the New Power symposium where they were.
Is it spelled NU?
NU, yeah, New Power, where they were selling their wares, and they utilized the same Zenic wave technique to broadcast power to anywhere in the world. I have 3 short clips. We'll start with the understanding of this Zenic wave, which is somewhat like radio frequencies. Zenic is Z-E-N-N-E-C-K, and this, of course, is closely related to the work that Tesla was doing. The idea is it's a wave that goes around the Earth. It's a ground wave, not something that comes from the sky. But they say it will work.
You do think differently in this. It is radio frequency, but it is a different waveform. It follows Zenic waveform, which was done by a German physicist in 1907. And so so the theory about it and the math and the physics has existed since they were doing those type of studies in the early 1900s. It's just now has been developed so that the wave can be launched, which was the most difficult part, was launching a Zenic wave over the Earth.
I wish I had gotten a memo that they were launching the wave, which apparently happened in 2003.
They actually first launched.
What?
Oh, it needs a little thing. You stick it in the ground and boom, you got your power for your house.
That's the idea.
They actually first launched the wave on the Earth in 2003. And so they've been working since that time period, perfecting it, doing tests, making sure that they had what they had the wave in a way that it could be utilized. The power component is one aspect of the breakthrough. Just like the first wireless was radio, but it's the same concept that radio has, all the way from television to satellite communications to wireless internet. All are on that technology and on that waveform. This waveform will have as many iterations of technologies that reside off of it, one of those being the transfer of power and commercial grade power over any distance.
So they're doing this at somewhere around 100 hertz, which is pretty low on the band. They don't have any kits I can test it out with yet, but I can't wait to. I've signed up for everything. And the first question I had, obviously, and of course, this has nothing to do with 5G because it's at a much, much higher frequency. But if we have wireless power and this Zenic wave bopping around the Earth, won't it fry us?
No, it's very safe. It's actually more safe than the current standards. The current standards are 90% greater than what this will generate in terms of an RF frequency, which is how they measure the health and safety standards with respect to RF. I mean, the sun is the biggest contributor to RF frequency in anywhere. It dwarfs everything else, and that is what the standards are set off, has to do with the sun. So when we're talking about where we're going to be in that component of RF exposure, we're way below the current standards that exist. So there really isn't any safety concerns. There's no shock hazard. There's none of the other things that would come, as you would think of, with electricity in the way this is being transported from the generation source to the receiving source. Once you reconvert it into power, then you have all your electrical issues of shock and those things. But those are all current things that you deal with in the substations and delivery from the point to your house anyway.
So this is just my beat. I'm not saying I'm all in. And Sir Bemrose, you can calm down. Bemrose is in the chat room. This is bullshit. This is the new Theranos. This is no good. Calm down, man. It's just a couple of clips.
All I care is, will it cook the Gophers?
You're right. That's the only thing that matters. But I'm gonna stay on it. You know, there's multiple companies. As far as I know, no one has produced anything that actually works. and this video is kind of cool. You know, this is the CEO being interviewed, and then behind him is just kind of like some Arab-looking dude. You know, if you ever seen these interviews, you know, he's clearly involved in the company. Just kind of walks up behind him and it's just, you know, he's got his collar unbuttoned. You know, clearly gangster type guys. But the Zenic wave is interesting, and the concept has been around for a long time.
Curiously, the invention of it is around the same time that modern monetary theory was invented.
In 2000? No.
He said 1907.
Yeah. Is that when modern monetary theory was invented?
Pretty much.
Well, it took a long time for it to go mainstream now, didn't it?
Well, it hasn't really gone mainstream yet.
Well,
but it's getting there. In fact, it may be underway as we speak, which might be one of the reasons the economy looks like it's doing well.
Huh.
I did want to get back to the pipeline thing because I had one more clip about the pipelines, or maybe not. Maybe it's not about the pipelines, but I'd like you to tell me, what do you think is going on here with another story that nobody knows about? They did know about it on Democracy Now! And this is the pulling out of Africa story.
The New York Times reports the Pentagon is considering withdrawing many, if not all, of the U.S. troops stationed in West Africa. The potential pullout could include withdrawing U.S. troops from a newly built drone base in Niger and ending U.S. support for French forces fighting in Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso. The shift could be announced as early as January. It's part of Defense Secretary Mark Esper's efforts to shift away from the United States post-9/11 war on terror. There are currently 6,000 to 7,000 U.S. troops deployed across Africa.
Huh.
Yeah, that's what I said. Exactly the same thing.
What do you make of it? What do you think? What do you make of this?
Well, either they're going to do something to kill off all the Africans in West Africa, and they want to.
Well, besides the obvious,
get out of there. Or the other thing is there may be the previous story about Libya and the fact that France has taken the side of Russia and Saudi Arabia and all these other countries in this little dispute in Libya, and now we're bailing out from helping France. Maybe something going on there. I don't know.
Yeah, stuff is afoot.
Stuff is afoot that nobody is looking at because
moves are being
they're
made.
too preoccupied with impeaching Trump and Greta.
Yeah, wasn't much better in the EU actually, but they more Greta and less Trump. No one cared. Europe doesn't even care anymore. They don't get it. They're like, well, is he kicked out? When is he end? No one knows. No one reads. No one cares.
Is Pence running the country?
Yeah, right.
What are these people going to think about in mid-year, like July of next year, when Trump is, still in the news? He's still the president. What are they going to be thinking? It's just like their minds are going to be blown.
I don't know what they're thinking.
Dogs are people too.
Yes. We've been tracking this for quite a while. Dogs are people too. We know it. You know it. It's just a fact. And we'll do anything to treat them like people.
Her family says Sophie has a heart of gold. And now she also has a heart that's making history.
She's just a joy. It was love at first sight.
But their love story was suddenly threatened when the 9-year-old boxer fainted.
We were told that even with medicine, there's a high risk of a sudden death.
Karen Cordolino learned her beloved rescue had an arrhythmia, the same kind of erratic heartbeat also diagnosed in people.
She had arrhythmogenic right ventricular cardiomyopathy.
Dr. Anna Gelzer, a cardiologist at Penn Vet, figured the human treatment could also work for dogs.
Sophie was the first case where we've tried to ablate a ventricular tachycardia.
For that, they turned to colleagues at Penn Medicine, where human heart patients are treated.
We were able to use the exact same equipment.
When she explained to us that Sophie was going to have this procedure at the human hospital at HUP, I couldn't believe it.
High-tech mapping helped guide the ablation, but it was still the first of its kind on a dog.
Were you nervous? Very nervous. We're fortunate that things went smoothly.
Karen says Sophie was pretty quickly back to normal, the human intervention saving her dog's life.
It's amazing. It's just completely amazing.
Heart transplant.
Did this crack reporter give us any indication of what this procedure cost?
No.
Or were they giving? No. Was it a pro bono for the dog?
I have no idea. But the dogs are people too, man. We'll just give them an open heart surgery, transplant, whatever it needs. You need new kidneys? We'll do it for you. Apparently, the equipment is ready for him.
All right, I got another real story.
All right, this will have to be it.
Okay, well, this is the one. Another story that's not being told, and I don't even know how Democracy Now! Didn't get a little more into it. But I think it has to do with the fact that nobody wants to admit that Trudeau is not what he seems. Trudeau's like a guy who presents himself one way as this very, soft-spoken, kind guy. And on the other hand, and it's been coming out more and more, I think he hates the native Canadians, the indigenous peoples of Canada.
Oh, really?
I think he probably tells dirty jokes and sexist jokes behind the scenes, which he gets big laughs. And he's just not a normal guy, because otherwise this story would not be in the news at all. And this is the the story, Canadian Mounties preparing to kill Indians.
In Canada, Indigenous communities are condemning the Canadian government after it was revealed the Royal Canadian Mounted Police prepared for the potential use of lethal force against Indigenous land defenders resisting the construction of a natural gas pipeline on the Wet'suwet'en Nation's ancestral land in British Columbia. The Guardian first revealed the documents in which commanders of Canada's National Police Force argued, quote, lethal overwatch is required, unquote, a term for deploying snipers. The preparations came ahead of a police raid last January against a protest encampment where Indigenous groups have been fighting the Coastal GasLink pipeline. In response to the revelations, the Grand Chief of the Assembly of Manitoba Chiefs in Canada said, quote, this form of state violence is happening to Indigenous peoples around the world. It's disheartening to know that even in Canada, this same type of planned violence is still being considered against First Nations, unquote.
And there's your happy end of show story.
I don't think that's a very happy end of show story at all. Luckily, I have nothing better, so we'll just have to leave it at that. But you, producer out there, thank you for putting together a fine deconstruction on this Boxing Day. When everybody else is doing pre-canned retrospectives of bullcrap, we're here breaking down to the best of our ability, and that's because we do it with thousands of producers.
Yes, because we're working and they're all on vacation.
Well, there's that. End of show mixes. We've got now. I got a lot, so they're gonna carry over for the next couple of shows. But Leo LePuc, Jared Mata, and we could not leave without a fine Christmas ditty from Sir Chris and Sir Felix down under, who hopefully will stop burning alive. And we've got the Merry Ratmas Nick the Rat coming up next on NoAgendaStream.com. And we will return on Sunday, coming to you from Opportunity Zone 33 here in Austin, Texas, capital of the Drone Star State, FEMA Region number 6, and all the governmental maps in the morning, everybody. I'm Adam Curry.
And from northern Silicon Valley, where it's a pretty nice day. It's clear out, and it's kind of not warm, but it's nice. I'm John C. Dvorak.
We return on Sunday. Please join us and remember us at Dvorak.org/NA. Until then, adios, mofos! And such.
What was that? Is that a dog?
Is that Hillary? Hillary, is that you?
It's Hillary.
She's a great barker.
Get the woman a lozenge.
You can get her out. Goodbye, Hillary.
Oh, please, Allah.
Every reasonable person have concluded that the President of the United States of America,
our country for his personal gain,
of the President of the
this
United
hoax, cheating in a U.S. election on his behalf.
The administration would not comply with any subpoenas.
and he has no respect.
I don't like Trump. I don't like our president.
No collusion, no obstruction.
Not so much.
No collusion, no obstruction.
Not so much.
That he will remain a threat promoted by Russia.
We're doing a lot of things that people don't even know about.
I promise.
To impeach Donald Trump.
Bye.
A one-term president.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Trumped up, trickle down. Donald.
Justice will have been served.
In the trial of President Trump.
Impeachable offense.
Conspired with the Russians.
And you fight back and they go down the tubes. And it's driving them crazy.
Daddy,
Yes, Felix?
do they celebrate Christmas on No Agenda?
No, they're podcasters. They're too poor to celebrate Christmas.
Can we make a jingle for Adam and John?
What would you like to make the jingle about?
Donald Trump.
That's a good idea.
Get ready to shout. Get ready to cry. Get ready to pout. I'm telling you why. Donald Trump is coming to town. better resist. Get into a fight. You're gonna take on the fascist alt-right. Donald Trump is coming to town. He's literally Hitler. We know he's full of hate. But Daddy is the president. He'll make America great. You'd better mask up, you need to organize. It's time for a lap, I'm telling you why. Donald Trump is coming to town. Daddy, what's the difference between Santa and Donald Trump? I don't know. Santa's good for bells and Donald Trump's good for jingles. Donald Trump is coming to town. Get the Antifa flag. Start flying it high. Set fire to shit. Punch some random white guys. Donald Trump is coming to town. We know he's pure evil. We know he's Putin's mate. We all know Max and Waters would punch him in the face. Yet the Antifa flag start flying it high. Set fire to shit, punch random white guys. Donald Trump is coming to town. Donald Trump is coming to town. Please don't eat me, Donald Trump. Are we done?
The best podcast in the universe.
Adios, mofo.
Dvorak.org/NA.
This is about science, science, science.